It is your prisonplanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday, the 28th day of June 2013. We're going to be live here for the next 3 hours, and I'm very excited that Gerald Celente is here in Austin, Texas, and is going to be in studio with us. Need to button my top button for TV viewers. Looks like I'm trying to be a David Hasselhoff wannabe, but only Paul Watson, who's actually the illegitimate son of David Hasselhoff, can actually pull it off. In fact, he is secretly, and I'm planning to roll this out very soon, secretly, ladies and gentlemen, he is the Wasselhoff. Anyways, that's secretly his name. Now it's not secret anymore. If you're a radio listener, you're like, what are you talking about? I came in here with my top button unbuttoned, and it looked like I was in a 70s porno movie or something with the chest hair, ladies and gentlemen. All I need is a big gold chain with a crucifix on it or something. And we've got the whole 9 yards prepared. And then I could be, well, not quite. I'd be wearing a jungle-type shirt or a tropical shirt. Is that the right word for one of those, a tropical shirt? I've decided today, coming in here, I was exercising this morning, getting more and more angry about the New World Order, getting more and more upset about all the things that are happening in the world. But I really should be positive because so many people are actually starting to wake up. And I think that's just incredibly good news. And so I shouldn't be so negative. And plus, life is not boring. This is a huge action adventure. We're all starring in it. We're only alive once on this beautiful planet, hurtling through space. And I'm going to try to bring more light to the show, because there is a lot of good in the world, a lot of good in the universe. In fact, there's a lot more good than bad. I tend to focus on the bad because I want the good to become aware of it so that we can burn the tyranny politically, spiritually, intellectually to the ground. And its pyre be a lighthouse on the hill for future generations to try to avoid the pitfalls that we have fallen into and that other generations before us fell into. I mean, I just love humanity. I'm a fan of our potential, but it's kind of an oxymoron dichotomy in that I'm also disgusted by the lows of humanity and my own lows, and just the wanton sloth and decadence and loving failure and loving gibbering and lying and delusionalism, and no good deed goes unpunished. I tell you, that African saying is the most true saying in the world, that no good deed goes unpunished. But it doesn't go unrewarded as well. Overall, you'll be blessed. Your progeny will be blessed, but you will be attacked. And Christ said that too. He said, you know, those that love me will be persecuted, and all those that hate me love death. And people that want to be good will be persecuted by the corrupt because they don't like us, ladies and gentlemen. And we need to realize that. And we need to be a little more uppity about things. Those of us that know we're good, know that we care, know that liberty and individualism is the way to go, we've got to take our lives back, take our country back, take our government back. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. Ladies and gentlemen, the news we're going to cover when we get back is all off the chart. Did you know this hasn't broken in the U.S. yet, but it's a big deal? Canadians are calling it Nazi Germany. That's how it's described. I'm going to get to that after the break. They have had Katrina-style gun confiscation there, and we're going to be going over that. Immigration reform bill clears Senate but faces roadblock in the House. Christian Science Monitor reports. I haven't talked a lot about this, but actually the Nightly News covered it on Tuesday. I'm going to talk about it, though, and show the video to TV viewers. Most of you have seen it if you're a radio listener, where this woman is beaten for minute after minute with her children there in a catatonic state of learned helplessness. Why didn't she have a gun? Well, don't worry. They're moving to even ban knives in places like New Jersey for self-defense, because the only crime is defense. Is this a song about Janet Reno or Barack Obama?
Speak of mutually assured destruction.
Monday through Friday, ladies and gentlemen, we're here live, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. And guess what? We're live right now. It is Friday, 28th day of June 2013. Gerald Celente is going to be in studio with us in the third hour. And look, there is incredible news across the board. And I say this every day and then never get around to doing it. But I'm getting a little better each day. So within a trillion years, I'll actually be able to go through phone calls like I did when I was first on air. I was first on air. I love getting phone calls. And I could take sometimes 100 calls in a show. Now I might take 100 calls in a week if I'm lucky. But any question you have today, it's open phones for questions only. If you, because I never do this, if you have a question, because they pour in via letters, they pour in at planetinfowars.com, and we have the Ask Alex segment on there at planetinfowars.com, the social network for patriots, to get organized, to go camping, dating. It's all there at planetinfowars.com. And, of course, the other sites are infowars.com, and the nightly news is on prisonplanet.tv. But I want to open the phones up for your wild card questions on this Friday edition ahead of pharmacist Ben Fuchs and Gerald Celente joining us. 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231, and we will get you up and on the air here today. Any question, I'll try to answer it. Political, religious, personal, anything goes, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions go. Doesn't mean I'll be able to answer all of them, but I'll sure try. 800-259-9231. Wow, there is just so much crazy news going on that it's hard to know where to start. UK may approve creating babies with DNA from 3 people. And then next will be the government telling you they have to approve the embryo, making sure it doesn't have any disabilities, that's in quotes, and then that allows the genetic engineering. How did I know all this was coming? Because the plan has been on record for a very, very, very long time. So we're going to be getting to all of that coming up. We're also going to continue breaking down the final border control battle in the House of Representatives. Republicans are mocking the Senate bill, and U.S. workers, they're reporting, are being passed over for foreigners. We're going to be breaking all of that down. Christian Science Monitor says that it's cleared the Senate but faces roadblocks in the House. We're going to be going over that as well. And this first broke back on Monday, and we covered it on Tuesday, but we played a clip of it yesterday, and it reminded me of what I've seen go on in England and other places where they've taken the guns from the general public, and how the violent crime increases to record levels, how the home invasions increase. And then you have places in the middle of Europe like Switzerland that has the lowest crime rate in the world because literally everyone is armed. There aren't carjackings. There aren't home invasions. There aren't muggings, except in a few housing project areas of a few of their biggest cities. And that's mainly foreigners who have no history of owning firearms and aren't Swiss citizens, so they don't have guns. You can look at the numbers. It is just such a fact. And then you see the video in New Jersey, in an area where it's almost impossible to own guns, of the woman being beaten and thrown down the stairs, and it goes on minute after minute, while her children, in catatonic fear, are paralyzed in learned helplessness on the couch. Little children. And that's what America is. America is that little child. And I'll be honest with you folks, I am the gun. You are the gun. As adults, you should take up the gun to protect yourself and your family so that a woman can defend herself against a man. It was the Ku Klux Klan that first in this nation got laws passed in the South to disarm black people so that groups of whites could gang up racially on black people and beat them and shoot them and kill them. Now, that's called racist, and that's wrong. But today, if you look at the crime statistics, in some areas it's 10 to 1, but it's usually 5 to 1 black on white crime. Just the Justice Department own numbers. You can look it up. They don't want to publicize them. In fact, in some areas it's even higher. That the media will not say or show the race when it is a black person attacking a white person, because they want to continue to push racial division, and have actually sold in many black communities that it's okay to attack white people because we're all bad and deserve it. And then that brings in the whole Trayvon Martin Zimmerman case of where the witnesses are saying that, sure, well, should he have been following down the street with a gun? That's probably not a good idea, but the fact is his nose was bloody, his head had lacerations on the back of it, he was reportedly on the ground having his head bounced like a basketball. The question we should ask in this video we're going to play coming up a little bit later while I talk about this is, should that woman be on trial for being attacking that man's fist because she's white? And that's racist. And even worse, if she'd had a gun in her own house and shot him, would there be a new Trayvon Martin case? That's a question. That's a question, and I'm not even being sarcastic here, because in England, if you fight back against an attacker in your house, they throw the book at you. If an attacker falls through a skylight, they sue and win against you. If you're being raped and robbed and you stab someone in your own house, they throw the book at you. Because the great crime in a tyranny is defending yourself. Because the predatory government does not want the slaves to be armed. They want the monopoly of force, and they want the pliant slave population to be like Jews in Nazi Germany and others, to pliantly, subserviently run into pits when the authority figure says so, holding their hats while they're shot, and then the next group bows, curtsies almost, naked women with their newborn babies and toddlers on their hips. The photos and film reels are out there. Just type in women in pits with children being shot by Nazis. And I have nightmares about that, folks, because I've watched those black and white films growing up on PBS, and I've gone and looked it up myself, and the Nazis themselves filmed it all over Eastern Europe, all over Russia, all over areas they'd taken over. And then I see the footage of that woman not resisting, and I see her child on the couch groveling in fear, and I realize that's America, is learned helplessness. And I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm not going to sit here helplessly while the globalists assault us anymore. And I'm not going to sit here and just go down without a fight. And that laying down and having mass Stockholm syndrome, that's what it is what is bringing this country into so much tyranny. Now, it's the same from Australia to the United States, from Canada to England, to France. When there's an emergency now, they don't just block off the streets when there's a flood or a fire. They come in and the police loot the houses, rob the Walmarts, rob the jewelry stores, and rob the gas stations and things. And you've seen it all over the world, because we have a kleptocratic governments now, that even the good cops, they'll just stand down and go home, and the bad cops rule the day, because the bureaucracy's not going to prosecute them, because that would be a PR disaster. So the worst in any society or any office or any department, it's not just the police. I got to be honest, the police on average, compared to a lot of the decadent sectors of the public, in some areas have held it together better than the general population. This whole world is rotting, ladies and gentlemen. Is absolutely rotting. There's no doubt about that. All the numbers, the statistics are there. And now we have this article out of the Calgary Herald. Hell to pay, residents angry at RCMP sees guns from High River homes. And we have a video we're going to go to after the break, and then we're going to go to your phone calls. But again, we have this article up on Infowars.com. We've got Kurt Nimmo writing an article about it. And if you give me a document cam, I can show people the article. There it is. Hell to pay, residents angry as RCMP seizes guns from High River homes. It's just like Nazi Germany. There's one of the articles, and then here is another one of the headlines. RCMP revealed Thursday that officers have seized a substantial amount of firearms from homes in the evacuation town of High River. We just want to make sure that all of those things are in a spot that we control. It's not like there was looting or rioting and they went and got them, simply because of what they are, said Sergeant Brian Topham. That news didn't sit well with a crowd of frustrated residents who planned to breach a police checkpoint northwest of the town as the evacuation order stretched into its 8th day. So they locked down a area that had some flooding for 8 days, and you learn the police have just been digging through everybody's houses, violating Magna Carta. They have basically Fourth Amendment up there as well. But by practice and by precedent, possession's 9/10 the law. Every time, I mean, they locked down half of or more of Boston, a town of 700,000 people, and went and pointed guns at everybody and shot up cars in L.A. that didn't even look like the same description or same supposed race, you know, during the Dorner hunt. They're acting differently. They're acting like mad gangs of control freaks who want to set the precedent during any emergency to come in your house and take your guns, and I'll guarantee you loot it. Ladies and gentlemen, over and over again, every time there's fires, every time there are floods, you name it, the police come in and confiscate people's guns. In the case of Katrina, most people never got their guns back.
They have seized a significant number of
and we're going to go again to that clip in a moment.
Firearms simply because they were left by residents in their places, and they are now secure at the detachment.
We're going to go to that clip here in just a moment. When you guys are ready, cue it back up, and I'll go to the clip here and here in just a moment. We're doing some training today in there. Our story's linked up on drudgereport.com. Ex-Chicago cop Zimmerman acquittal to cause race riots. That's up on drudgereport.com. Social unrest will dwarf the Rodney King and Martin Luther King riots. Right now, are we ready with the clip? Let's go ahead and play that.
Thursday, police revealed they have seized a significant number of firearms from evacuated homes.
We have seized a large quantity of firearms simply because they were left by residents in their places, and they are now secure at the detachment.
That news didn't sit well with an already angry crowd. The confrontation, however, did end peacefully.
So the NSA is watching your every move. Who cares, right? You're not doing anything wrong. Well, as NSA whistleblower William Binney pointed out, you don't get to decide what's wrong. The central government does. In fact, you could be breaking a law right now that you're not even aware of. Take a look at some of these laws that, while they may be outdated and unenforced, most of them are still on the books. It's against the law to take a bite out of someone else's hamburger in Oklahoma. Sporting a goatee in Boston? Well, you better have a permit for that, you whiskery wrongdoer. In Iowa and Eureka, Nevada, it's illegal for a man with a mustache to, under any circumstances, kiss a woman in public. Sorry, ladies and hipsters. A Chicago municipal code from 1911 banned people who were diseased, maimed, mutilated, or deformed to the point of being an unsightly or disgusting object from going out in public. Did you know that it is illegal to fart in public in Florida after 6 p.m.?
Yes, I've heard about that.
They're very serious about their clean air there.
Oh, really?
In Indiana, a bill was proposed to make law that the value of pi is 3. Thankfully, a mathematics professor was present in the legislature that day, and the bill didn't pass. In New Hampshire, you may not tap your feet, nod your head, or in any way keep time with the music played in a tavern, restaurant, or cafe. Have you ever heard of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act? Well, you've probably violated it. Have you ever signed on to an unsecure Wi-Fi network?
What does unsecure mean? Just like free?
You're sitting in your apartment and someone doesn't have their thing locked down, so you're like, oh, I'm going to go on the internet.
Yes, I have.
Well, that is a federal offense. Have you ever used a fake name when signing up for an internet account?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's breaking the law, too.
Also a felony.
Oh, okay. Meh.
Okay. So you did not mean to commit a federal crime of hacking when you logged on as Seymour Buns. But it just goes to show how easy it is to pass a law simply to control behavior that some people find offensive. In fact, you don't even have to break the law in order to get arrested for doing something others find disagreeable. Jeff Olson is facing a 13-year jail sentence for writing anti-bank messages in water-soluble chalk on the sidewalk. And a 14-year-old would never be facing a year of jail time just for refusing to change his shirt if Obama hadn't waged an all-out war against the Second Amendment. And don't even think about bong waterboarding snarky caricatures of political pundits, or your entire YouTube account will be wiped out. What you're doing today could seem harmless, but a year from now it could be damaging just based on the whims of those in power. And the police already abuse the immense power that they have. So if the NSA is recording every move that you make, and somewhere along the line technically everyone is going to break the law, punishment becomes purely selective. Basically, those in power will have whatever they need to punish whoever they like, whenever they choose. So the question shouldn't be, I'm not doing anything wrong, so why should I care if I'm being spied on? The question is, if I am not doing anything wrong, then why the hell do you think you have the right to spy on me? I'm Leanne McAdoo, and this has been an InfoWars Nightly News Alert.
Yeah, well, you have to get a warrant to spy on somebody in any free society, because in every case you get total tyranny if you don't. Now, I'm going to get into the big Second Amendment news and how they're doing victim disarmament when we come back. And the latest on the Zimmerman trial, and then I'm going to your questions at 800-259-9231. I'm Alex Jones. This is InfoWars Live. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so the RMCP, the Royal Police in Canada, in the town of High River, have set up around the town checkpoints and aren't letting people into it because of some storm damage. And this is 8 days in. The RCMP revealed that officers have seized a substantial amount of firearms from homes in the evacuated town of High River. We just want to make sure that all of those things are in a spot that we control simply because of what they are, said Sergeant Brian Topham. The news didn't sit well with a crowd of frustrated residents who had planned to breach a police checkpoint northwest of the town as an evacuation order stretched into its 8th day. The RMCP revealed Thursday that officers had seized a substantial amount of firearms from the homes in the evacuated town of High River. And it continues. About 30 RCMP officers set up a blockade at the checkpoint, preventing 50 residents from walking into the town. Dozens more police cars, lights on, could be seen lining the streets of the town on standby. Officers laid down a spiked belt to stop anyone from attempting to drive past the blockade. The action sent the crowd of residents into a rage. What's next? Tear gas, shouted one resident. This is like Nazi Germany, just taking orders, shouted another. And it just goes on there to break down what's happening. Let's go to one of the local news clips. Here it is.
On Thursday, police revealed they have seized a significant number of firearms from evacuated homes.
We have seized a large quantity of firearms simply because they were left by residents in their places, and they are now secure at the detachment.
That news didn't sit well with an already angry crowd. The confrontation, however, did end peacefully.
And again, they've had some flooding there. That's what's going on. Now they're 8 days into this. And this is what government does now. The town's been dry for 8 days. The people are kept out of the town. And in most experiences, the police, I don't know if these guys will be involved in that. Probably most of them won't be. But in other cases around the world and here in the U.S., they will go through everything. Most people will never get their guns back. And we saw this during Katrina in the high and dry areas. And we saw the police looting all over the place. Now, shifting gears to a video that's gotten a lot of attention. If you're a radio listener, you just search New Jersey home invasion, mother beaten in front of child, and then you'll find the video. But most of you have seen the video of the mother on the couch, and a man comes in and just beats her and beats her and beats her and throws her down the stairs and stomps on her, and it just goes on and on and on, all caught on a nanny cam, while it looks like a 3-year-old to 4-year-old child sits there in a catatonic state sucking their thumb, which is normal for a child to do in many cases, especially if they haven't been trained to fight back or resist or hide. That's basically what the child's doing, is hiding in plain view. But as a public, we now have the public doing things like this. And reportedly, if you look at George Zimmerman, who witnesses said was pummeled in the nose and his head bashed into the ground, that he was assaulted, you know, the only question is, should this woman be arrested? Is this a white on black crime? I mean, I want to be politically correct here, okay? In fact, this woman could probably have been black, and they would just say she was white, like George Zimmerman, you know, being of you know, mixed heritage. And again, for me, racism is nothing but a puppet shill operation to keep us fighting with each other. But I just want to point out that you hardly ever see home invasion footage on the news, and you hardly ever hear them talk about Hispanic on white or black on white crime. In fact, you don't hear about Hispanic on black crime. That's really a big issue. I just look at the statistics in Southern California, because that doesn't fit into the race paradigm. The only people that can be racial and go out and prey on someone is a white person. The only people that can commit crimes are white people. The only people that cheat on their taxes are white people. The only people that don't wipe their hind ends properly are white people. The only people that steal are white people. I want to confess to this, that I agree with MSNBC. I don't like socialist government-run health care and the government having all my health records and sharing them whenever they want. Not because I'm into liberty, because I'm a racist, folks. I want to keep my guns to be able to self-protect myself, but I'm going to make a confession. It's because I'm really racist. Like Michael Moore says, he says, racist white people want their guns. And then they go on, and you know, they've had Fox News and Fox Sports guys say, gun owners are the Klan. You've seen that. And I guess they're actually right. In fact, that woman and her child need to go to prison for racism. I'm being sarcastic, of course, ladies and gentlemen. That lady's a poor victim, and our heart, you know, goes out to her. It's just this stuff goes on and on and on. Okay, I said I'd take calls and take your questions. I'm going to do that now. This is a Friday worldwide edition of the Global Transmission, and we are mainly a radio show. I'd say 95% of our audience, millions and millions every day, but we do have hundreds of thousands that watch the free streams at Infowars.com/show. Free podcast, free iPhone app, free Droid app, all of it listed, the free video stream right there at Infowars.com/show. And also, we could not do this broadcast without you, the listeners, supporting and spreading word about the transmission. We cannot do the broadcast without the best radio team that I've ever had. And I've had great folks that have come through here in the past. But let me tell you, this crew is just learning and getting better and better, and I'm learning, and we're building a new media system in here, and this is live. This is teleprompter free. And so I just want to say that our entire crew is really kicking butt in there, and our sponsors and our AM and FM affiliates are really kicking butt out there as well. And I want to just ask all of our listeners, especially AM and FM listeners, to tell as many people as you can a day about the local affiliates that you're listening to us on. Whether it's in Austin, Texas, on 590 AM and 90.1 and 99.7, we're on 3 stations, or whether it's Chicago on 1530, or all the other affiliates across the United States, whether you're listening in Bakersfield, California, or Victorville, California, or whether you're listening in New York City. Bloomberg bemoan that we have multiple stations broadcasting into New York City. They just cannot stand it. They can't stand that we're on XM. And a lot's been done to try to get us off of there and all the libertarian and conservative broadcasts. The big changes are coming next month. I haven't seen anybody even talk about this. But then I've also been contacted by other groups at XM that intend to try to continue to carry the show starting in July. But it's not just going to be my show that's scheduled. It's Most Talk Radio. Most libertarian and conservative talk in a shakeup at XM are to be taken off. I can't believe nobody's talked about this yet, because I, quite frankly, don't want to get in the middle of it and you know, make some of the patriots at XM and Sirius, because there's good people in every organization, angry at me. Because it's not pointed at Infowars.com. It is pointed at, there I am on America's Talk on XM. There's a big shakeup. You know what, I'm not even going to get into it, because I've got like vice presidents and people I've been supposed to call for 2 weeks at XM and have meetings, and I just don't even have time to mess with it. And they're trying to figure out how to keep us on there, because they know a lot of subscribers are there because of Genesis shows. And what's being looked at is a whole channel for GCN and things like that. But here's the deal. I'm too busy on air. I'm too busy doing news research. I'm too busy paying the bills. I'm too busy doing you know, HR stuff around the office to, again, mess with the affiliate relations. Genesis is doing that, doing a great job. My only point is that there's a lot of people in the power structure, you know, Bloomberg basically, you know, saying, why is he on XM? He shouldn't be on there. Now, there's cover stories trying to shut down our free speech. Michael Moore complained about a video exposing him as a redcoat, and that video's been taken down. I mean, it's just, there's hundreds of examples a month now of the dirty tricks and all the stuff we go through so you don't get to hear this show, okay? So the answer to their 1984 is 1776. The answer to their behavior is for us to take action that much more. The answer to the fact that they don't want us on the air and they're doing everything they can to block us is for everybody to sponsor our local AM and FM affiliates, and for everybody to spread the word about the broadcast, and for people to support the show, because it's growing. But it's like we're going into the wind here. We're moving forward, but still, if we didn't have so much resistance, we would explode. And we would really be able to turn the tide. And we're doing it, but not enough. I mean, I just burn to beat these people. I burn to be able to reach people and warn them that, hey, you know, the Gardasil vaccine doesn't protect you from most strains of the papillomavirus and causes autoimmune diseases on record in the studies, and even has killed a bunch of people. Hey, did you know the fluoride they put in the water isn't even calcium fluoride that you need a little bit of? It's deadly fluoride. Hey, did you know, I just want to warn people. I just want the evil to stop. I can't stand watching bad guys get away with stuff. You ever had somebody lie about you? You ever had somebody make stuff up about you that's totally untrue and it really gets you angry? I've gotten to the point where I can handle that to myself personally. And I've learned to just think of how sad those people must be and how pathetic. But when I watch them abusing innocent people, and when I watch organized crime in government and corporations getting away with bloody murder, man, I want it to stop. And I know you want it to stop. So let's just spread the word. Get InfoWars magazine. Give it to everybody you know. The current July issue is on NSA spying, what it's really behind it, how it's a takeover of the internet, a takeover of the real economy, a control grid to be able to corner the stock market and other markets for insiders that have access. Hundreds of corporations, well, they said thousands, but really it's hundreds from my intel, that have actual access to everybody's info and huge computers to crunch it all. This is a technotronic nightmare, and it exposes it, and there are 10 bumper stickers inside. Big, petroleum-based, the kind that lasts for years, high-quality bumper stickers, even better than the last round of stickers. Buy them in bulk at cost, InfoWarsStore.com. All right, I'm done ranting about that. It's just, it's time to get really aggressive with the New World Order. I want to see them beat. So bad that everybody knows that we're really riling the system up. They're attacking us every day in major publications. We get death threats, dirty tricks, everything else, and I'm just all in. I mean, I'm all into this fight, kicking, jabbing, punching, biting, snapping, gouging eyes out politically. I mean, I am just in a skull-hammering frenzy against the enemy. And I want to see you be released against them, and I want to overrun them and just have victory and restore the republic. Ugh. Let's go to Alex in Illinois. What is your question today, sir? We're taking questions. Thank you for calling.
Hey, Alex. This is Alex from Chirac again. I called you 3 months ago on April 28th asking about the rabbit hole, and though I disagree with your answer, I had a follow-up question.
Well, how do you disagree with my answer? I mean, I said at the bottom of the rabbit hole is evil and corruption and people that are wicked and death. I mean, what do you think is at the bottom of the rabbit hole?
I think it goes a little bit deeper beyond just existing stuff here on this plane. But I wanted a follow-up question of how far do you think America has sunken into the rabbit hole right meow?
Well, it's a paradox. I mean, people are kind of waking up because it's gotten so surreal. But will they wake up all the way and put the brakes on this before they're being carted off to be, shot in mass graves? I mean, will America, lay there and take a beating? Will America go into a catatonic state of learned helplessness and Stockholm Syndrome? And so I think that is to be governed by those of us that are somewhat awake. How energetic, how aggressive will we get? I mean, I know I'm independent. I know I started my own media operation that reaches 15 million people a week conservatively with my bootstraps and with other people that agreed with me and supported what I was doing. So I know, because I don't have some high view of myself, I know there are people out there listening right now that if they set on a mission to expose the globalist, they will do it. We will bring them down. It is a will issue. Do we have unshakable, unflagging, total will? The globalists have a strong will, but they're scared now. They can feel cracks in their arm in this arm wrestling contest. I'm telling you, we can jerk their arm out of their bloody socket like Beowulf to Grendel if we just decide to do it. I mean, I'm telling you, they can feel their arm starting to tear out right now, okay? And I'm telling you, we just keep ripping, it's going to come out. You got to decide to rip their arm out of their socket politically. You got to decide with the moral authority to get back in their face. That's why they're so over the top right now. They are scared to death because when we take this country back, they're all going to prison. God bless you, Alex. Rod in France. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Bonjour, Alex, mon frère. I hope you're doing well. You're a little bit out of control there today. We might have to get you on some psychotropic drugs and get you to start drinking some water with some hydrofluorosilicic acid, I think.
Yeah, I need to get into a trance state and just feel all good about everything and not pay attention to the rising waters of tyranny around me. What's your question, brother?
Yeah, okay. Well, I've got some stuff on things that I think people should know about, and I don't have the answers to them, and I thought maybe you could help me. It's kind of state versus federal laws. As far as the National Guard goes, the National Guard is supposed to be protecting the state and is under the control of the government. If there was an all-out, huge crisis nationally, and I guess the federal government can call on the National Guard, but if the state wants to use the National Guard for its own protection at the same time, who has the supreme authority over that?
That's right. If the federal government won't do its job, it is the job under the Constitution for the states to put troops on the border. It is the job of the states to protect themselves. And they're trying to federalize the Guard. It used to be totally a state group. Now they've quasi-federalized it. Now they're totally federalizing it. And that's part of the state nullification process. But to really nullify the federal government, we have to point out it's not even a question of the federal government. It is now a globalist government at the executive and bureaucratic level under UNESCO. I mean, here's an example out of Canada. Calgary floods spotlight cities' costly failure to plan for climate change. It's been proven that change is the only constant. It's been proven there's always bad weather in different parts of the world. But they say anytime there's a flood that it's because we're using carbon dioxide that they want to tax. Meanwhile, they're engaged in giant geoengineering programs but won't say what that's about. And then I point out geoengineering programs, and the media says that I'm saying Obama sent a tornado to Oklahoma when I never said that. I'm saying there are geoengineering programs. So they've been proven in their own universities in the UN 4 years ago to be lying about the carbon garbage and admitting it's about global governance and taxes. I mean, the president makes money off the carbon taxes. Carbon dioxide is much lower than it's been for hundreds of thousands of years. You can look that up. But they just sit there telling you, CO2's way up. We're all dead. It's deadly. Yay, take our liberties away. We'll be back with more calls. Stay with us. A White House apology group, Salon, did a hit piece yesterday that I saw this morning where they were claiming that I'm basically homophobic, to use their term, where they set all the parameters. No, I said I turn on television and they're attacking biological families, the nuclear family. Everybody knows that's all over TV. Everybody knows that there's a demonization by Hollywood and an attempt to sexualize children, both heterosexually and homosexually. And the political correctness says don't even use the word homosexual. It's like saying don't use the word the Caucasus Mountains, so Caucasoids or white people. I mean, it's just, you know, I guess if I call, you know, a bird by its scientific name, it's racist. Anything ignorant masses of people don't know now is racist, basically, or bigoted. And then the article says there's no evidence that estrogen mimickers are hurting anybody. So I've got pharmacist Ben Fuchs coming on, and I'll show you about 10 mainstream and alternative news articles and studies with estrogen mimickers just causing mass death. I mean, that's a well-known fact. And thank God we've gotten Target and other places to bring in plastics that don't have it and cookware that isn't lined with it. And again, they're so mad I'm talking about this, they go, that guy hates gay people. Hey, man, if you think next I hate women because I don't want to get breast cancer. The article actually says that there's no evidence that estrogen mimickers are hurting anybody. Well, at least you admit they're in the food and stuff. At least I got them to do that. I mean, this is incredible. And the truth is, it's the White House science czar. He wrote about it in Ecoscience. They're putting additives and everything to mess with us. It's Brave New World. It's on record. I mean, next, am I anti-gay because I don't want people to get brain cancer from sodium fluoride? I mean, what does that have to do with it? What does that, but this is what they do. So let me go into your phone calls. And then ex-Chicago cop Zimmerman acquittal to cause race riots. I saw this article this morning by Paul Watson and thought it was important. And there are a lot of people saying on Twitter and Facebook everywhere that they're planning to riot and kill whites. And, I mean, I guess that's probably a good idea. I mean, whites are bad. So I don't want to be politically incorrect. So all whites should report to giant wood chippers at sports stadiums to be fed in to prove you're not racist. I mean, I'm just so sick of this, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, are white people going to riot because a black guy's on tape beating a white woman? I bet he'd have beat anybody he was coming in there to beat up. But, I mean, I'm going to tell you, you know, most women I know, regardless of what color they were, would have fought back. Just pretty amazing. Pretty amazing to see that footage. We're calling it, you know, more proof that Obama's gun control is working because they've taken all the guns basically in New Jersey. And so we're going to be breaking that down. Let's jam in one question right now. I'm going to come back, take more calls, and get to our guest. Mitch in California, what's your question, sir?
Hey, how's it going, Alex?
Well, I'm just realizing how bad it is that I'm a white person.
So I had a question for you. You've always said that, like, on record, it's been for years and years, all these plans. And a lot of times, I've been awake for years, but a lot of times when I try and awake people, I'll show them your show, and it's too much for them. They're not down the rabbit hole enough, I guess, to really understand what you're talking about. And I'm wondering if there's any articles that you have or any books, kind of like a conspiracy 101, something that would...
Yeah, I think the Obama deception or a film like Endgame, those are, I mean, they're hardcore, they're very hard to believe, but they have online bibliographies, like whatistheendgame.com, so they can document it. But I've found you couldn't wake the sheeple up to why is it bad for police during a flood to go door to door and confiscate guns. You know, maybe they can understand, hey, why didn't they do it before? Because all you do is set up checkpoints and stop looting. You don't go into people's houses and then you rob them so someone else doesn't rob them. See, logic is an enemy. We're never going to get the general sheeple. They're going to go off and die of fluoride poisoning. We're reaching out to those that can understand this. Coming up, we're going to look at media claims that estrogen mimickers in the food and water are not bad for you. Of course, they don't cite any scientific studies. We will be doing that because I want people to know what's being done to them by design. In fact, I'm going to do a special in Obama Deception 2 just on the eugenics and their own admissions of how they're adding things to the food and water to create asexuals. Actually, when they're done, people won't even have a sexuality. They'll just be biological androids. So that's coming up. But first, they have to break up the family, in their own words. Tony in Florida, you have a question on Rand Paul. Welcome. Thank you for holding, sir.
Hi, Alex. Long-time supporter supporter and listener. That wasn't my question, actually, but I have a question. I'll make it brief, and I'll take.
Okay, I'm sorry, because we don't usually screen calls. People have been volunteering what their question is. It says Rand Paul up there.
No, that's a mistake.
Okay. Well, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I'll take the answer off there. I've been a long-time supporter of architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. In 2011, I came across the work of an engineer with evidence to the contrary. I assumed at first glance that she was either a kook or COINTELPRO.
Hey, wait a minute. John Harmon just came on and said you wanted to talk about Rand Paul. Sir, we're not screening your calls. You didn't have to give us a fake story to get on and then come on and say I'm wrong. Did you or did you not tell him that you wanted to talk about Rand Paul?
Yeah, I didn't say you were wrong. I said it was a mistake. I figured I'd get the phone hung up on me. I was just calling to recommend an interview with Dr.
Sir,
Judy
hold
Wood.
on just a minute. Hold on a minute. Sir, we don't screen calls unless I say I want people to call in who are in this town that's on fire or something, or there's a mass shooting on a university. Will you call us? That's the only time. Do you not believe me that we don't screen people's phone calls?
No, sir, and I'll respect that. And
no, I don't care. It just sounds weird. I mean, it says, okay, Rand Paul, if you volunteer it, I'll bring it up. Now, start over with what you wanted to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make it quick, and I'll take the answer off the air. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I was a supporter of architects and engineers and 9/11 Truth for a long time. Came across the work of Dr. Judy Wood in her book, Where Did the Towers Go? First, by hearing Jesse Ventura on your show, I believe in 2011, mention her name. Her work is astounding, and the evidence shows that thermal and kinetic means were not employed in the destruction of the World Trade Center complex. Richter scale data is enough in itself. It shows that there were no...
Sure, so what's your question?
If you would have her on, and regardless of where you stand, if you'd have her on and have yourself...
Sure. Let me answer that question. And I appreciate your call. I am the founder of questioning 9/11. I mean, there was NORAD stand down. The hijackers were trained at U.S. bases. That's Sacramento Bee, Associated Press. That means I question there needs to be a real investigation. Bush and Cheney weren't under oath, blah, blah, blah. They then turned that into, Alex says, like Wile E. Coyote, Bush blew up the towers. So then again, they misrepresent. I say, hey, they've got weather weapons. It's on History Channel. That turns into, I say, Obama sent a tornado. So they build straw men around what I've really said about 9/11. I want to go with, hey, they said they blew up Building 7. We have scores of newscasts saying they blew it up. Then they say, don't say that, it's a conspiracy theory, when I have BBC, CNN, you name it, saying it. So I wanted to stick with that. People can debate and argue all day at 9/11 Truth what they think happened. Not Judy Wood, and I've let Ventura come on and promote her. I mean, that's fine. I didn't say anything when he brought it up. I don't know her. I know some of the people associated with her got really vicious towards Stephen Jones, Professor, and other people, and then I got attacked by people saying I was covering up what happened, and I better have people on. So when I'm approached like that, I immediately just go, wow, this is like a weird academic fight, like different schools of Darwinism or something fighting with each other. I've just stayed out of it, okay? And that's basically the end of it. And then I'm attacked everywhere for just sticking to what I think is the most important evidence of prior knowledge and involvement. There's your answer. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now into hour number 2 on this live Friday edition. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Alex Jones. The websites are Infowars.com. And, of course, we're streaming live video there at Infowars.com/show. And we're also streaming a video of the nightly news and all the films and the archives on our subscription site at prisonplanet.tv. Thank you so much again for joining us and spreading the word about the broadcast. I wanted to get one of the most knowledgeable people I know, because I have scientists and doctors on, and they always marvel at how much pharmacist Ben Fuchs knows. I wanted to get him on a host of stories that have been coming out and some other news that he's been working on. He joins us about once a month by popular demand. And then we'll continue with your phone calls, your questions, when he leaves us towards the end of the hour. And I'll go to Victor, Chad, Eric, Gabriel, and Sergeant Bill for folks that are patiently holding. I'm taking questions today A lot of shows do that. I never seem to do it. People like to hear questions from the listeners, kind of the wild card, different things they bring up. So we're going to be doing that. And then Gerald Celente is going to be in studio with us. Now, this story just broke in Canada yesterday. It has not been in the U.S. press. It is now. Canadian Mounties exploit flood to confiscate firearms from citizens. They've gone into even dry homes in a large area. 8 days in, the flood's gone, and are confiscating the guns just like Katrina. So citizens complain cops seizing guns is something right out of Nazi Germany, and that is the quote. That article is up on Infowars.com right now. Also, continuing the government trying to exacerbate racial division, the Justice Department directly in there, organizing groups on record, and when they got caught, they pulled out of it, to protest the death of Trayvon Martin. I don't think what Zimmerman did was smart, following somebody down the sidewalk who they think acting suspiciously. It's not suspicious to be wearing a hoodie. It's not suspicious to be black. I think that there are stereotypes and things that go on where I have seen and grew up in Dallas and have a lot of black friends, but especially in Dallas growing up, where you'd be with one of your black friends going to play basketball or baseball, and a cop would pull over just because you were walking down the street, even if you were clean cut. And then if I was a white kid with other white kids, I never really had cops pull over and ask us where we were going. So I've experienced walking with a black person, kind of like walking while black. I get this kind of stuff goes on. But then when you see Hollywood and MTV with the image of gangster, and people embracing that, and crime statistics, because of what's been sold, because this wasn't this way, you can actually look up FBI numbers from like the 30s and stuff, was actually lower illegitimacy and lower crime rates in most black areas than in white areas. Like, I need to do a whole special on this sometime, because I really know statistics and history. That's what's so weird. How do black areas now have the highest crime in the United States? How do you have in many areas 10-to-1 black on white crime? Look up Justice Department numbers. You can just type in 10-to-1 black on white crime. So then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it shows really the job government's done in just 60 years of kicking men out of the house and saying, women are in charge, kick your man out, you get all this money, and undermining the male authority figure. And look, if you follow the black collapse, which is on record, 90+% illegitimacy, crime rates off the charts, the system's set up to funnel blacks into jail and prison to then get their training as criminals. If you look at the statistics, whites, Hispanics are following the same trail, just haven't been on it as long, and are now shooting up in crime, illegitimacy, life expectancy going down. The black male has the lowest life expectancy of any racial group in this country. And this is what government and fake feminism has done by design. And so I intend, in fact, in Obama Deception 2, we're making it right now. The problem is I got so much evidence, so much info. It'll at least be one of the extras. I want to show these crime statistics. Less illegitimacy in the black community than in the white community 60, 70 years ago. Less crime in most areas. But see, they made the black neighborhoods the authorized crime zones. It's in The Godfather, which is based on true story, where they say, we keep the drugs in the colored area. They are animals, let them lose their souls. That was the attitude. That's where they did the medical testing, all of it. And so there is a victimization there, but now it's been turned into something else, and you're not supposed to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about groups of black kids out beating up whites and attacking all over the country in gangs, in racial gangs, just like the Klan did when it was seen as culturally acceptable to go out and attack and kill blacks. Humans, it's the same wiring, same stuff, folks. Different pigmentation of the skin. That you can say on average there might be genetic variations in groups, from one part of the world or the other, or this or that. But when you get down to it, people are people. And people will dehumanize a group so that they can then abuse them. Like, oh, the Native Americans are savages, so we can kill them. Or, the Jews are all criminals, so we can kill them. Or, well, whites are the problem, so we can go rob them. And I saw famous cases just a few years ago. Guys, even try to pull that up. I forget the guy's name. One of the main black radical leaders out in Houston said, stop mugging black people. Go mug some whites. So I mean, it's a manifestation, but you see, then there's no autoimmune system against racism if it's coming from someone who is not white. Because people, they call it reverse racism. What an oxymoronic term. What an oxymoronic term to call it reverse racism, as if only whites could be engaged in racism when whites are like 7% of the world population and dropping fast. So I guess as soon as there's no supposed white people, even though their genetics will go on, it's like, if you made it a German Shepherd with a pit bull or whatever, one comes from Northern Europe and one they think comes from probably, Southern Europe. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's still a wolf. That's kind of like, like a French bulldog is still a dog and can mate with a chihuahua. I mean, you could say there's differences in whatever happened in breeding, culture, wars, all of it. The point is people are obsessed with this because this is what humans did. Look, you'd have a tribe, and your tribe would produce more than the other tribe, and then you'd make an excuse of some, well, the tribe beat up one of our people or killed somebody down by the water hole, so we're going to get together and go kill them and take their women. I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, whatever supposed group you come from, your ancestors tended to be the people that like to breed, like to kick butt, like to stomp people's heads in, but also knew science and how to produce things and make weapons and produce food. And so we are aggressive. And I mean, my ancestors, we've gone back to the lineage on both sides. It's like everything from famous preachers to pirates to you name it. I mean, there's a reason I'm so crazed. And my family always, just going back into the midst of Europe, has been on the front line of generally liberty revolutions and fighting overwhelming odds. But everybody has that genetic code. But is it something that's dominant in you? That's really a question. I mean, they know psychopath behavior is, most of it's genetic. Can you get a psychopath early out of it with nurture? It depends in the studies they've done. They're artificially kind of creating sociopaths in the culture that will carry out psychopathic type behaviors. We're going to go to break and come back with pharmacist Ben Fuchs. It's just that I wanted to discuss this and talk about it because no one wants to live in harmony and freedom and a future together like me. And, I get up here and say, hey, they're in the vaccines giving people viral plagues. Here's the evidence in Africa. Let's stop the depopulation program in Africa. Let's stop Obama doubling the money for basically forced abortions in Africa and in China as well. Our government helps fund that through the World Health Organization. On record, look it up. Just type in Obama increases, abortion funding in Africa, and it turns out they coerce the women. And a liberal go, well, there are too many people there. And I'm like, so you want to kill black babies, but I'm a racist because I don't want government-run health care. I want to own a gun to protect myself, and I'm a racist. But they're like, well, yeah, there are too many black people. And that's the average liberal white person. Folks, everything is scrambled. That's what's so frustrating. Like, I don't like the forced sterilization going on in Mexico of poor people right now because it's a tyranny. And but the argument is, well, you don't like 100+ million people with 30 million new people every 5 years. I mean, I thought you don't want all these poor people to drive down wages. No, I want to bring out the free energy systems and build it up and empower people. And once they become industrialized, they'll only have 2 kids or less like we do in the West. You see, I mean, I really want to be able to go to Mexico and have it be big, shining, beautiful buildings and high-tech and jet copters and happy people. I don't want them dead. I don't want to sterilize Mexican women. But it doesn't matter. The La Reconquista groups are so into their race thing. They're like, we're taking over. We're getting your guns, gringo. We'll show you. And I'm going, you're going to show me I don't want your people to die? But they're not programmed to hear that on average. That great truth of, I'm saying don't abort the Hispanic babies. I mean, I come at things from just pure justice. Would I want that done to me? Do unto others as you'd have done unto you. I mean, that to me isn't even a rule. That is what I live. I mean, I know from all their tomes and articles and Time Life magazine articles that Aaron Dykes dug up and Eco-Science and all this stuff, they're in all these dozens and dozens of books saying we're adding stuff into lining of things to sterilize and make people asexual. And before he died in Brave New World Revisited, Huxley wrote about it. And I come out and say, they're changing our sexuality to be asexual. They're doing all this, they're manipulating us, and then they write articles about how I hate gay people. And then are like, what's wrong with having, you know, these chemicals changing you? And there you are. It's basically like the last man on earth. They don't want to be told what's been done to them. Well, pharmacist Ben Fuchs really needs no introduction here today, but he runs one of the biggest and has run one of the biggest compounding pharmacies in Colorado. He has formulated some of the best-selling worldwide skin products. That's what he's really a total mastermind of. And he's the host of a one-hour show that's very popular on GCN, being syndicated across the country, 1 hour every day before our broadcast. BrightSideBen.com is his site. And you can also go there as well and sign up under him with longevity and get discounts. Or you can go to InfoWarsTeam.com and sign up, or InfoWarsHealth.com and get free shipping when you sign up for auto ship. And it's got the whole catalog there at InfoWarsTeam.com. But my mother, by the way, during a break, I got to ask you some questions because she gave me the literature and then I forgot it at home. She's always wanting me to get a consultation with you. And then she tells me to ask you the questions, Ben. So I'm going to have to sit there and interview you during the breaks as well today. But Fuchs is a registered pharmacist, nutritionist, cosmetic chemist, and founder of the Econo Co-op Pharmacy and Rocky Mountain Natural Laboratories, pharmacistben.com. And he joins us. This is a short segment. We've got the long segments coming up here today, and I want to get into a host of medical news that's breaking. But first off, I wanted to show you an article out of salon.com. And it says, Alex Jones, gay marriage truther. The conspiracy theorist said the government is turning people gay through chemical warfare. And what they do is they take out of context that I simply said women are going into puberty now on average at 10 instead of 14. Some of them at age 3. Girls are having babies at age 7 or 8 all over the Western world because of the estrogen mimickers in the plastic. I'm going to show a bunch of articles. This is on record. That's why they're actually pulling them out of a lot of things. It's a testament to a wake-up and a big victory. But the third world, they're actually not stopping, and they're having even bigger problems as well. And they said here, you know, that I said that lining in potato chip and juice boxes and things like that, I said bisphenol A, but they just act like I'm ignorant, is hyper-feminizing women and then feminizing men. Men go into puberty later, smaller genitals on average, lower sperm counts. It's all on record. We're going to go over those documents and articles for the people out there that say this isn't true. All of this is going on. It's killing women. It's directly linked. I had a breast cancer survivor in here, a lady that went to the Supreme Court and, you know, won that gene patenting case. And she said, absolutely. She knows all the names of it. She says, yeah, it's the estrogen mimickers are one of the biggest reasons this is happening. And they just say in here with no link, this writer says that yes, there are estrogen mimickers that leach out of the bags, but there's no evidence that they're harmful to one's health or the government is involved in secret plot to turn the country gay. Really, here's BBC. U.S. military pondered love not war to spray chemicals on enemy armies. The chemicals they found in tests would basically make men be attracted to men. It's pheromone manipulation. It's why a man is attracted to a woman. You add chemicals, you can make a man think, man, why do... I mean, that's BBC. Okay, and I got hundreds of these articles, but Ben, it's not about the gay. They want to make it. I don't get into those issues. I mean, sure, it goes back thousands of years. That stuff's happened before naturally. The point is that the side effects is that it's causing sexual confusion, asexuality, and is feminizing men. That's undebatable. And you're the pharmacist, the expert. We're going to break, but what do you make of Salon, just as we go out to break in the next 2 minutes, saying there's no evidence when I'm going to show people hundreds of articles?
Well, all you got to do, Alex, and thank you so much for the introduction, all you got to do, Alex, is just do your own research. Go to PubMed.com, go to ScholarGoogle.com, Google BPA, bisphenol A, and gender bender, Google BPA and breast cancer, Google BPA and infertility, Google BPA and sexual dysfunction. Do your own research. It is voluminous. Thousands, literally thousands of studies show that bisphenol A and estrogen mimickers, what are so-called xenoestrogens, have horrible effects, most especially on sexuality and fertility.
But, I mean, how can they attack me all over the news, not just here? They're really scared of us focusing on this.
Yes, they're scared, exactly. There's haters everywhere, Alex, but we love you. I wouldn't pay any attention to that nonsense, but you're right. You know, in the tall poppy syndrome, you ever hear of the tall poppy syndrome? They cut off the tall poppy in Australia. They say, don't grow too high because they'll cut you off, but that's just the way it is. Alex, we love you. I love you. Thank you.
No, but I mean, well, thank you, Pharmacist Ben. We love you guys as well. My point is that they're demonizing this when they know full well at MSNBC and Media Matters and Reuters and national TV shows really continue to attack me on this. When I'm trying to stop breast cancer and testicular cancer, they go and fish out this one comment, which is really cold-blooded. Don't they want to warn people?
No, they don't. The mainstream media is not our friends.
I want to hear about this. I'm going to get back into what estrogen mimickers in thousands of products, and there's dozens of different types of them or more, are doing to you. So we're going to be breaking all of that coming down, that's coming down on us here in just a moment. But first off, I wanted to show you a Weekly Standard article that's up on drudgereport.com. I'm going to have it linked up on Infowars.com as well. 68 senators vote to create incentive for employers to hire immigrants over U.S. citizens, the amnestied immigrants. And I actually saw this on Monday and barely mentioned it, and I should have made a bigger deal about it. I saw it in another article. This is out in the news today by John McCormick, that section got brought up by Senator Sessions. And I went and read the subsection, and it actually says that the legalized illegal aliens that are here illegally, you can hire them, what is it, for up to 3 years. And that for a total of 13 years, this will go on. I can't even believe this when I see things like this. It's just like big business. See, I'm actually speechless right now. So much just hits me whenever I look at an article, all the data, that it's impossible to tell you how bad it is. The insurance companies wrote Obamacare on record. I just got chills of anger. They wrote Obamacare so they could take away good treatments and so the government could tell you what treatments you can get, and it makes you buy the health care and doubles the premiums already in the first year on record. And it's written to basically bankrupt our health care system. And it's the same thing with this bill. If you cut your employees back to below 30 hours, then you don't have to get the health care. And most businesses are going to be forced to do this because they can't afford it. We're spending right now more money than we're bringing in because I'm trying to expand and fight the globalists. And under this, we're still trying to figure out with lawyers and how it's going to be implemented. Nobody knows. It's causing uncertainty all over the country that I'm going to have to let go a bunch of people. If it goes in the way the White House says, it's like, or I could cut them back to below 30 hours. And pay them a lower wage. It's just, and then I got to hear how it's great and I'm a racist if I'm not for it. It's like, what does it have to do with it? They just tell the dumb public, he's racist. He doesn't want to fire you. He's racist. It's like, what does it have to do with it? Everything is so dumbed down. I'm going back to Ben Fuchs. I was reading this. Under Obamacare, businesses with over 50 workers that employ American citizens without offering them qualifying health insurance could be subject to fines of up to $3,000 per worker. But because newly legalized immigrants would be eligible for subsidies on Obamacare exchanges until they become citizens, at least 13 years under the Senate bill, 3 under a House version I'd seen, businesses could avoid such fines by hiring new immigrants instead. I mean, this is all for big corporations that know how to do this. Little companies like mine that are actually just trying to, fight for liberty, or restaurants or whatever, don't even know how to do it. Plus, they don't even let you. I just, and then I'm reading how this expands it and how the two bills go together. This has all been planned to ruin everybody. I don't know how to explain this to people. And it's all unfair because Americans put up with everything. When the government sees an American, they see a chump. When sailors 200 years ago saw a right whale, that were sweet and playful would come over and bump the boat and bring their babies up. The whalers would be like, thank you, baby. And that's us. It's like, oh, here's my baby. Shoot a harpoon into it. I mean, we are the galactic chumpazoids. Chumpazoids. That's a new word I just invented. Schmuckazoids. Dupadoids. Suckazoids. Torpedoids. Idiotoids. Failureoids. Sickoids. I'm going to shut up. He's on as a guest. I got Gerald Celente coming up. I'm going to give you the floor, and as you talk, I'm going to show mainstream news article after mainstream news article. It makes me angry that they've had MSNBC, White House-run Media Matters, and now Salon come out and say there's no danger in estrogen mimickers in your water when it's all on record giving us cancer. I want you to break this down, and I'm going to show literally it's got to be 50 mainstream news articles and studies to people watching on TV. And then radio listeners, as you said, can just Google, what are they search engine?
Do PubMed.com and you get government studies, but if you do Scholar.google.com, you get scientific studies without the advertising. That should be on everybody's desktop. That should be bookmarked by everybody. Scholar.google.com. PubMed.com is okay as well. I go to Scholar.google.com for almost everything. All my research, as well as going to the library. And that's really the most important thing, Alex, is we got to do our own research. We cannot get our information from government-sponsored media. MSNBC is not our friends. Fox News is not our friends. The government, the mass media is not our friends. We have to do our own research. When it comes to these roundups and estrogen mimickers and glyphosates that we're talking about, they are hideous beyond belief. You know, when it comes to Roundup and it comes to these glyphosates, do you know, Alex, you can't even wash the stuff off of your vegetables? It's in the soil and it's in the water so that as the plant is growing, it's incorporated into the plant. And why is that a problem? Oh, little things like infertility, breast cancer, seizures, brain fog, feeling crappy. The fact of the matter is we are biochemical beings. We are biochemical beings at the physical level, and we play around, we tweak with our biochemistry at our own peril. The fact that our own government is sponsoring this kind of poisoning of its people is hideous and scary and evil beyond belief. So what do you do about it? Well, we all have to eat vegetables. We all got to eat fruits. And that's really the sneakiest thing of the whole scandal is for folks who are eating fast foods, folks who are eating McDonald's and French fries and snack foods, that's one thing, okay? They're playing with fire. They know that they're going to have a price to pay for doing that. But what about folks who are eating vegetables? What about folks who are practicing good nutrition? Now they have to deal with poisons that are built in, that are embedded into the fruits and the vegetables themselves. Well, what do? Well, first of all, you got to eat vegetables, right? So how do you handle this? The most important thing you could do, Alex, in my opinion, is make sure you are reducing the toxic load on your body wherever possible. And job number one, if you are on a prescription drug, and I'm telling you this as a pharmacist, as somebody who's been studying medicine now for going on 30 years, if you are on a prescription drug, you are putting a burden on your body's detoxification system. You are putting a burden on your liver that will then make it much more difficult for your body to process these estrogen mimickers, these gender benders, these roundups and pesticides, not to mention all the stuff that's being spewed out in the air and stuff that's put into our water like fluoride. The second thing you could do is make sure you're using nutritional supplementation, especially supplements that protect your liver, especially supplements that help upregulate the detoxification enzymes in your body. Things like selenium, which Dr. Wallach has been talking about for decades. Things like vitamin E. Things like glutathione and glutathione builders, things like glutamine, substances like glycine. There's a whole, vitamin C. There's a whole list.
That's what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about what it's doing to us and then solutions, and not just the incredible souped-up products at InfoWarsHealth.com that myself, my wife, my mother, my dad are having dramatic effects, especially my dad. Looks like he's younger. It's incredible. He looks better than I do. Starting to take things that actually are able to block and even reverse a lot of this just with the normal building blocks. So I want you to tell people if they go to InfoWarsHealth.com or InfoWarsTeam.com or call the toll-free number on the site to ask any questions of our great team. what they should get there to reverse it, or what even natural foods will have it. Unfortunately, they're spraying it on there. That's why you guys mine the stuff out of alluvial deposits for the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and things like that, so it gets past all the Roundup and fluoride that's soaked into it. But specifically, we know girls worldwide usually went into puberty at 13 to 14. Now the age is 9, 10, 11. And we hear about 7-year-olds having babies now, 3-year-olds going into puberty. It's an epidemic, and the media just says give them other hormones to block it. Don't ask where it's coming from. What's going on? Because the studies I have a stack of, we're going to be showing to TV viewers right here. They admit that it's what's doing it to the girls, and that, hey, take it out of the plastics, don't eat this, don't do that. But then the White House and Media Matters, they don't want us to warn women.
Well, here's the thing, Alex. All of the things that we're talking about, the chemicals in the food, the prescription drugs, statin drugs, fluoride in the water, all of these things have one important effect on the body. And from that important effect, all of the other effects arise. All of these substances reduce the body's ability to thrive, reduce the body's ability to grow, reduce the body's ability to be as great as the human body can be. So estrogen, for example, is a stress hormone. People don't realize this. People hear about estrogen and they think about youth, or they think about women, femininity, but really estrogen is a hormone that helps the body handle stressors, so that when your estrogen levels go up, your body goes into stress response mode. That means the immune system is suppressed, and that means our ability to grow and to thrive is suppressed. There's only two things that are happening in the body at any one time.
Why is it causing? Because I had the lady that beat the Supreme Court on the gene patent in there, and she was the real expert, going over, oh yes, well this is what the estrogen mimicker does, and it does this to the cell and then triggers this genetic trait. But she was explaining there's a bunch of different ways it gives you breast cancer, and more scientists believe that's the reason it's exploding.
This is the reason why estrogen causes breast cancer. Number one, it causes out-of-control growth. Estrogen's role in the body, its main role in the body, in addition to being a stress hormone, is to help it grow a baby. So estrogen makes cells divide rapidly, and then estrogen suppresses the immune system. So you've got two factors that combine to give you things like cancer: out-of-control growth and suppression of the immune system. Under ordinary circumstances, the immune system will spot a cell that's growing out of control and destroy it. But with estrogen, when estrogen mimickers are in the body, or when estrogen levels are high, the immune system is suppressed, and this in combination with estrogen's growth stimulating properties is what accounts for these reproductive cancers. And make no mistake about it, breast cancer is an epidemic, and the number one cause of breast cancer is elevations in estrogen, and the number one cause of elevations in estrogen is what are called xeno or foreign estrogens from plastics and from foods and from chemicals. Estrogen is really a family of compounds. It's a basic chemical structure that's found throughout nature, and when organic chemists are making plastics and they're making artificial chemicals in an organic chemistry kind of way.
That's right. Let me just interrupt and put breastcancer.org, a big new study that came out last year. A common plastic chemical, BPA, is shown to affect breast development in fetal monkeys, and in other studies makes the monkeys go into puberty earlier and grow giant breasts and also giant butts, which is exactly what's happening to our women and our boys. But I guess that's okay, because I'm anti-gay if I talk about it.
Well, you know what? Before I go, I want to tell people 3 easy ways to protect yourself from xenoestrogens. And let me make no mistake about it, folks. You want to protect yourself from these gender benders. Not only do you not want to interface with them if possible, but as I was saying earlier, sometimes you can't prevent yourself from interfacing with them.
How do you detox?
In the foods, there's some wonderful ways to detox. One of the simplest things you could do is get yourself on progesterone cream or pregnenolone, both of which have anti-estrogenic properties. Vitamin E is one of the most powerful anti-estrogenic substances, and it's nothing more than a simple supplement that you could take. And as I was saying earlier, selenium is a powerful anti-estrogenic
Vitamin E,
substance.
Selenium, and progesterone cream for men or women.
Both, men or women, absolutely, and pregnenolone as well. And good nutrition in general is a great strategy. Essential fatty acids, probiotics, get on the nightly essence from Longevity, correct digestive issues. If you want to pick one health strategy to increase your longevity and protect yourself from cancer and from xenoestrogens, I can't reinforce this enough. Taking care of your digestive symptomology. Job number 1, if you have any food allergies, intolerances, gluten intolerance, any kind of digestive issue, you're running higher risks for estrogen toxicity from xenoestrogens and pesticides.
Look, I don't have some vendetta against the White House-run Media Matters, but they're on record, run by the transition chief, funded by George Soros. They attack constantly on this, and so does then the so-called liberal media. They're really authoritarians, you know, just camouflaging their authoritarianism with trendy, lisping voices. Why are they so threatened by the fact that I'm exposing that that we're being chemically manipulated? Regardless if it's on purpose, which we know it is, they prove it's on purpose, that they're demonizing us when we talk about this and desperately trying to get their audience not to do what we're saying. Because, I mean, this is outrageous. I mean, I don't want my family to die of breast cancer. I don't want to get testicular cancer. I don't want to be able to go, you know, jog 5 miles and swim 1.5 miles and not lose weight because of all the estrogen in the environment.
You know, the government afraid of us is a good thing. When the government's afraid of the people, that's when you have liberty. When the people are afraid of the government, that's when you have tyranny. And that's a quote from a guy named Barnhill, who was a writer back in the 19th century. So the fact that the government and the power structure is afraid of you, that's a good thing. Keep up the good work. Don't stop.
No, but I mean, it just shows how cold-blooded they are.
Absolutely.
To make a statement that there's no evidence that these chemicals are bad for you, that's a quote.
Cold-blooded is exactly the adjective. Reptilian, exactly. You hit the nail right on the head.
Which means psychopath.
Cold-blooded is, you couldn't have said it better, Alex.
But I mean, how do you say that there's no evidence that this hurts you when every study, just thousands of articles everywhere, university says it's horrible, and they're even under public pressure pulling it out of a lot of stuff?
Lenin said a lie goes halfway around the world before the truth even puts on its shoes. Repeat a lie often enough, and unfortunately, it becomes the truth.
Yeah, but I mean, how can you do that when you've got families? I mean, how do you sit there and walk around in the public looking at men, women, and children and not want to tell them, hey, most plastic containers are going to give you cancer? And it's not like, I mean, it's like worse than cigarettes in the statistics I've seen. I mean, this is bad.
Not people actually are taking prescription drugs that are estrogen voluntarily, lining up at the pharmacy to take these substances. What do you think birth control pills are? And by the way, after a woman takes her birth control pills, you know where they end up? In the water supply for all of us to drink.
That's right.
We're literally swimming in this stuff, Alex. Our bodies, our tissues are being saturated with these kinds of toxins.
Oh, and Bertrand Russell in the 20s wrote about it, and H.G. Wells wrote about it in 1900, and Aldous Huxley, part of it, wrote about it.
Brave New World.
And then in a nonfiction book, bragging they're doing it. We have them bragging, now we're swimming in it, but we're crazy guys, pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
That's why it's important for us to do the research, to listen to the Alex Jones Show, to listen to The Bright Side, to participate in our own health, to not go to the doctor if you do not need to not interface with the medical model if you do not need to certainly not eat the corporate swill, to line up at McDonald's.
Let's do it together. Let's do it together. InfoWarsHealth.com, InfoWarsTeam.com. Sign up there. Hundreds of products, all there, the lowest prices for longevity. 888-789-9277, 888-789-9277. And sign up to be part of InfoWarsTeam.com. Become a distributor and get big discounts, 888-789-9277. And your purchases support this broadcast, and we need your support now more than ever. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, I salute you. God bless you. And I want to get you back up in the next week for 2 hours if you want to do it. God bless you, sir. Let me talk to you to the break. Coming up at the 5 after next hour, we're going to have Gerald Celente in studio with us. I'm looking forward to that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is so frustrating, but also angering to have the White House, through its surrogates, they're really coming after us on this estrogen mimicker thing, because this is their plan, to where young boys are given female hormones, and so they then begin to basically, because we have pretty similar brains, pretty similar anatomy in most respects. We don't have a uterus. But they can trigger a male. You can give animals estrogen-type mimickers, and they begin to show same-sex type behavior. And this is a takeover of our society. I mean, look at all the anti-family, anti-male, anti-heterosexual stuff on television everywhere. And my thing is, I'm a live and let live guy. I'm a libertarian. But that doesn't mean you get to run over me. That doesn't mean you get to define my sexuality for me and then write books about it in the 20s. And I'm going to show in Endgame That's a Freudian slip. I'm going to show an Obama deception, too, that's going to have eugenics in it. It's really kind of endgame, too, but in a way. I'm going to show it, in this, all the documents, the books, the quotes, and then show you how they did it. Just so people get what's going on. It just makes me so upset that they take one little part of an hour-long breakdown of how it's giving us breast cancer, testicular cancer, making the fish asexual or hermaphrodites, on and on and on, and how hermaphroditic mutations are increasing in humans. And they go, what are you against hermaphrodites? I'm like, no, these chemicals are doing this. It'd be like, if chemicals were giving us cleft palates. And I'm like, these chemicals are causing more cleft palates, which they are in studies, especially in Mexico where it's really toxic. What are you against people with cleft palates? With, hair lips? Use the old pejorative? I mean, it's like, no, I don't want people to have that surgery when they're little babies. They're like, yeah, right, racist. And it's just like, it's like they've dumbed everything down where it's all just, you don't like gay people. You don't like black people. I'm like, hey, these La Reconquista groups are like racist Mexican groups. The government's funding this. Why are they? Shut up, racist. Hey, our government's funding Al-Qaeda. Shut up, 9/11 truther. All I'm saying is they created them and let them attack us, and they're taking our rights away, and now they say Al-Qaeda's not the threat. It's gun owners. Oh, yeah? Well, just shut up, you traitor. That guy says that, the Army blew up the World Trade Center. No, I didn't. I said our government is protecting Al-Qaeda and giving them a free pass to do whatever they want, and then beyond. It's undebatable. Look at it all over the news. And I'm sitting here watching this craziness, and these people are so evil that work for the system, they will demonize me to the ends of the earth for simply trying to help people. And people can't believe it. Like, I can't believe you're so nice. You get so nice. They're putting thousands of plastic combinations that are even cheaper. On record, I've had top chemist on. It's on record. And they choose the varieties that off all this estrogen and other deadly stuff. I mean, they know Roundup is an estrogen mimicker. I saw new vegetables are coming out genetically engineered so bugs won't eat them with scorpion poison that grows in them pharmacologically. I mean, I saw that. Didn't even come. It's just like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. And I'm like, hey, we probably don't want to eat tomatoes. If guys type in new vegetables have scorpion poison in them. And I'm like, scorpion poison? That doesn't sound too good. Shut up, extremists. Everyone knows that scorpion poison. Yeah, GM cabbage with scorpion poison coming soon. Agribusiness is in a mad rush to take over the earth and seems willing to stop at nothing. Coming soon, and it goes over the new GMO that grows its own harmless, in quotes, poison, scorpion. Well, I got the stuff that's naturally you need to take care of it, and it's a win-win. It then funds our operation. The best products, I found them. We have them. Ben Fuchs recommends them. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs and countless other medical doctors and scientists that we've had on. InfoWarsTeam.com, InfoWarsHealth.com. And you can sign up there and get huge discounts on shipping, other things like that. All right, Gerald Celente is coming up the next segment. And for those of you that have been holding patiently, you'll get to ask me and Gerald a question. I'll get to talk to you. You'll get to talk to me. How arrogant does that sound? But let's go to Victor in Nebraska. Thanks for holding. You're on the air, sir.
Hey, Alex. Wonderful I got to get through. I'm a longtime listener. I'm 31 years old. I'm a native from Puerto Rico. I went to school there from Head Start to 6th grade. My question to you is, with this Michael Hastings passing away, why would they want to lure in Snowden, knowing that what happened to him?
What do you mean alert Snowden? Explain that to me.
Like, why would they want him to come back to the country if they know what they do to whistleblowers? Like, why would the media spin it like, it should be a good thing that he returns back to...
Oh, yeah, come and be thrown in prison for reporting on crimes of government. Come back to Nazi Germany. Come back. Absolutely. Look, a lot of people are trying to spin it with no evidence that he's some double agent or something. He released what everybody already knew. I mean, the CIA director last year bragged they listened to you through your appliances in your house without warrants. So, I mean, the big news is the family's now been out for 4 days and friends saying they believed he was probably killed. They want a new investigation. Gee, you probably think that'd be news. That is nowhere but Infowars.com that I've seen. And I checked it this morning. Nowhere but Infowars.com. Nowhere. I mean, they could blow me up and have my wife going, I want an investigation, and it wouldn't even be in the news. Think about that precedent and how much danger we're in. And people say, well, why are you trying to scare us? I'm just laying out the reality. That's what I do. I can't help it. I mean, and again, most of the government isn't bad, but they're not the ones in charge. And the danger is letting them do this. I appreciate your call. See, I start talking about this, and it just freaks me out. Eric in Wisconsin, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, brother. It's good to talk to you again. I called in a while ago. And what I want to say real quick is just the fact that if everyone out there is feeling really down on yourself or you feel like everything's going wrong for you, I want you to know that it's not your fault. From a young age, I was really unhappy and a real messed up kid until I found God personally, not through any church or any man-made belief system. But the change that I've experienced in my life is incredible because when I was a kid, I was cursed. I was cursed with unbelievably bad things, but I just want everyone to know if you feel bad, go to God because God can cure everything.
No, listen, all the studies, even the atheists have to admit it if they're a scientist, not the political ones, that prayer and real personal spiritual activity hires the awakening, ups the brainwaves, and is miraculous over illness, you name it. And they try to put a box around it and have man control it. But that's what Jesus talked about was the Pharisees and Sadducees, doing their works before men instead of before God. Absolutely. If you don't think of yourself as bad and say, oh, God can't help me, just say, God, I want to be good. Will you help me be a better person? And even if you don't believe in God as a physical, deity, the universe, justice, it just works. It will attract the positive to you. And people say, oh, that's new agey. No, look, I get more people to come to Christ on this show without beating people over the head with it by just getting them to think. Then they have their own spiritual experience, and then that leads them to, much better things. The world took over the churches and had them beat people over the head so that people would turn away. The globalists are very, very smart, ladies and gentlemen. They know what they're doing. But there's definitely a spiritual place in our heart and our mind. The pineal gland, our DNA now they've proven, is a receiver transmitter. That's a scientific fact. I mean, this is heavy stuff. Hey, we got Gerald Celente here with us. I love this guy. And, of course, you're one of my mom's favorite guests. I talk to people, who's your favorite guest? Most of them say, oh, I like Gerald Celente. And then next it's, I like Max Kaiser, and I like Ron Paul, on and on and on. But Gerald Celente is an American trends forecaster, publisher of the Trends Journal, business consultant, an author who makes predictions about the global financial markets and other events of historical importance. Celente has described himself as a political atheist and a citizen of the world. He has appeared on everything from BBC to NBC Nightly News to CBS, Fox, trendsresearch.com, trendsjournal.com. Both those will take him to his site. And he's here to be part of Obama Deception 2 that comes out in October or November, probably early November, because I'm just getting so many interviews and so much research. It's going to be the best film ever. Very powerful. Wake folks up. You're here. And we really appreciate you being in town. I've met you in person a few times before, but you've taken me around New York and stuff. But here you are in Austin, Texas, my friend.
Well, I have to say, I'm really thankful that you invited me, number one. And number two, I've been on everybody's show, from Oprah, the Today Show, CNN, you name it, and around the world. And I have to say, your studios here are as great as anything else out there. And I'm really, really impressed about the great operation that you have, the staff that you have, the professionalism. It's first rate, and it compares. And now I know why that so many people listen to you and follow you, because this is a first-rate operation.
Well, we're trying to get there. I'm trying to get there. I'm kind of the weak link, but we're building the new studio. I've got the uplinks ready, a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to have to really hustle to raise the money to get this completed, but by next year, we probably will be to the next level of reaching more than 15 million people a week. We're already reaching that, but I want to just double that, because I don't want to just fight these people and do half measures. That's what I like about you, is that you're doing the same thing, Gerald. You're escalating what you're doing. You're doubling down on America. You're not fleeing. I want to get into all the news and your analysis, but first, let's talk about why I'm interviewing you for the Obama deception. I mean, you're saying you're not fleeing. A lot of big guys have been leaving the U.S. quietly. We're not going to say their names. You've talked about doubling down.
Yes, I have. But before we do that, I'd also like to say, in seeing the effort that you're doing and what it takes for everybody out there that's listening, to do what you can to support this, and the people that are speaking out and aren't afraid to speak out. Because if you look at the other side, I mean, you were talking about the Obama deception. How about this for a deception? Remember when Obama was running in 2008? And he said he would never accept a penny of outside money and only the people's money, and wouldn't take money from special interests. And of course, who funds his campaigns are the special interests. So if you're a special interest out there in the interest of living a life of dignity and respect, and in an America that you were taught to love because of the fundamentals upon which it was built, this is really a time to put your money where your mouth is. And, we need support from the people, we the people. And so in seeing your operation and seeing what it takes to make it happen, I really urge everyone out there to do what they can at any level that they can. If you're going to support a politician, man, woof, you should be supporting something that's going to help you. And this is the kind. I was listening to Ben Fuchs as I was waiting to go on the air. I have an honorary doctorate in complementary medicine from the National University of Health Sciences, and I'm listening to this interview. I said, "Wow, this guy really knows his stuff." And the information, the quality information that you put out that you can't get anywhere else. So again, I urge everyone, and particularly now seeing your operation, what it takes to make this happen, to do what they can to buy the products that you sell and support prisonplanet.com in any way that they can.
Well, thank you. I mean, look, I could have big giant mansions and just be a talk show host and have a jet probably, but instead I've made the decision to fight tyranny. So I'm putting technically about 120% of my earnings right now. I'm putting money that we put as backup into trying to just build this up and go to the next level, because that's what I want. I want to beat these people. I want the mercury out of the shots. I want the fluoride out of the water. I want the estrogen mimickers out of the plastic. I want our troops to come home. I want the Federal Reserve to be kicked out of the country. I want our nation back. I want the warmongers in jail. I mean, that's what I'm after. I'm not after going to globalist confabs and feeling powerful or having a butler on a private jet. I'm after going 110% after these globalists. I know you've been at the highest levels of things, Gerald. You've seen how the establishment operates, how they're so entitled. People on, $25 million jets with butlers. And it's like, man, but could care less about what's happening to the world around them. And this stuff even blows back on the elite's kids. They're not getting away with this world they're creating. You can see everything starting to unravel. And it's crazy. And I can't imagine the middle class, and even nouveau riche and old money that's being fed on by the globalists, they're all just, in a lot of cases, giving up, not believing they have any power. When, if I'm just some guy from Texas, in 18 years I've been able to do this, I want to do 10 times this. Well, what is wrong with people?
Well, there's a lot wrong, but there's a lot wrong and there's a lot right.
Oh, I agree. A lot of folks waking up. It's
we did in the last Trends Journal, the I don't want to hear it trend. People don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear of something that breaks their belief system. They don't want to hear something that may upset them because they feel powerless to do anything. But again, when you talk about the American Revolution, and we could talk about that as well, because it leads into the question that you first asked me. How many people began the American Revolution? Was it a couple of percentage?
It was 1%, and then 3%, and then 5% won it.
Yeah, and then only, I think at the height of it, only about 45% of the people supported it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, just you gave moral support.
Moral support.
Yeah.
So it takes a small number. And then if people could really understand what the opposition looks like, all they have to do is open their eyes. How can anybody, hail to the chief? I don't care who the chief is. How could they clap and applaud for Senator Harry Reid or Mitch McConnell? How could they look up to Boner or Bonner or McCain? How can they genuflect to their con man in chief, or whoever it might be? What's wrong with people? How have they lost their dignity? This is the level of people that we're talking about, and I'm saying that we don't have to listen to them. There's a quote in preparing for the show and looking over different things. When President Obama was saying that how he was going to win the Afghan war, people forget this, back in 2009 when they had the troop surge, 33,000 more troops. Hillary Clinton said, he's not concerned about what the polls show. The people are disgusted with the war, essentially. Oh, no, we don't count. Don't look at the polls. We don't count. Vast majorities are against the war, but in America with a K in it, it doesn't count anymore.
And I remember him saying that. If you go back to any culture thousands of years ago, if a king lost a war, he would have to abdicate and step down, or a new dynasty would come in. Because even if people were barbarous, they didn't like losers. On top of it, these people are losers.
That's what I'm saying. They're losers. They lose everything. There's nothing that you could put your finger on that says, hey, look at the great success. Let's put them up again in the cleanup spot, So that's what I'm saying.
The New World Order are losers who have made themselves too big to fail. I was just watching a congressional hearing during the break in there, and the congressmen were admitting, we've made you too big to fail. That's now the standard, and you banks are taking over.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that if people would realize that the enemy is really not an enemy, they're just letting people run them and control them because they don't have the courage to say no. But now the courage is coming along. More people are saying no. And you're leading the charge as well as I and others.
Believe me, I don't want to lead it. It's dangerous.
Well, again, I know it too. I realize it. I get my share of things. But going back to what I'm doing, I just bought recently 3 buildings on the most historic corner in the United States. Matter of fact, listeners could go to Ulster Magazine, ULSTER magazine.com. It's Ulster County, New York. And it's in Kingston, New York, Colonial Kingston.
Is the magazine out yet? I had a chance.
It's out, yeah. They'll be FedExing a copy. We should be getting it soon. But it's on the stands out in New York now, and it's on their website. And what Kingston was the first capital of New York State. The British burnt it down in 1777. And these are the houses that predated the burning, and some of them were rebuilt. But I came back from Berlin, and it's about not leaving. And last year, not this past June, but the June before, I came back on April 23rd of 2012. And after being in Berlin, I realized, I said, Berlin had to be at the top of Western civilization in the 1930s. I mean, you think of
It was.
Right? It's culturally, philosophically. Scientifically. And you think of the German names, not for nothing, Bach, Beethoven, Goethe, Einstein, Wagner. And here's what you see, Alex. I spent a lot of time in Europe, and to me, Berlin was grander than Paris before it was bombed out. And you see a beautiful stone, beautiful, gorgeous building from 1880 in Berlin. And then you see all new construction that bombed out from World War II, and then an old building. And this footprint is repeated everywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, how could the Germans let this happen to them? How could they let a two-bit freak destroy their country? And then I'll keep going on and tell you the rest of the story of why and that's what inspired me to stay in America and not let any two-bit freak throw me out.
Exactly. We're not going to put up with it. We're going to kick the New World Order out. And we're going to be right back with Gerald Celente on the other side. Your phone calls. We're going to get into all the news, get his take on Snowden, NSA, the deaths, all of it. Well, got my good friend Gerald Celente here sitting with me in studio. I'm your host, Alex Jones, and my other good buddy, Jimmy Vaughn, bringing us in. And we have returned, ladies and gentlemen. Better watch it. Gerald will start dancing again if you're a TV viewer at Infowars.com/show. You got to see some of Gerald's dancing at the start of the show here. That's right. You got to boogie before the legs go out. All right. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We got a long segment coming up, but let's start finishing up your story. So you're in Berlin, beautiful architecture, but almost all of it completely destroyed, bombed out from the bombing and the Russians coming in. 20 million Germans died one way or another. So they say it's 21 million. For following Hitler, but it was the banksters that created the Versailles Treaty and the atmosphere that allowed it, and it just shows the very same crews today. So continue.
And then I thought to myself, I'm of Italian descent, And during the same time, I mean, you think of the Italian names, you know, Puccini, Rossini, Michelangelo, Da Vinci. I mean, we have quite a history. We eat a lot better than the Germans. How can they let a cartoon character like Mussolini destroy their country? And so I came back on April 23rd, and it was a for sale sign on the Franz Rogan house. That's one of the ones in the magazine. It was built in 1750. And I said to myself, and I was down in Argentina, as you know, in Chile, and I was getting out of here. I was going to Uruguay. I said, I had enough of this crap.
When the earthquake happened.
Yeah, right. I was on the 14th floor of the Crown Plaza Hotel. And I was looking to leave. And I said to myself, you can't run away. There are two-bit freaks everywhere. We have them right here. You want to see some two-bit freaks? How about Bush? There's a two-bit freak for you in my book. How about Obama? Two-bit freak. How about Slick Willie Clinton? You want to see a freak? Roll him out. How about go down the list? Pelosi.
Janet Napolitano. The stuff those women settled in court with the stuff at the Justice Department, they're lunatics.
They're lunatics. And that's what I'm trying to say. You go down, oh, and how about that other guy before that? Chertoff? What was his name? Chertoff? The other, before Napolitano. The guy under Bush.
Chertoff, yeah.
Yeah. The guy that was the consultant for...
naked body scanners.
Yeah. So it's two-bit freaks everywhere. You cannot run away, is my belief. So I said, I'm staying. And so I bought that one building. And then as the story goes on...
There's a magazine article about it. Let's put it on screen for folks.
I bought the second building, the Academy, 1774. And that was built in... that was where the... Governor Clinton, not this Clinton, went to school for the elites at the day. And then I bought the Dr. Jansen house. And I said to myself, this is the most historic Four Corners in the United States. It's the only place where there's a pre-Revolutionary War stone building on each corner. And if this is where the first American Revolution had its roots, I want to see the second one.
Again, it was the first capital. The British burned it.
Yeah.
You are doubling, tripling down with everything you've got to stand your ground. And symbolically, we all need to dig our heels in and fight like Hades. We're not giving up.
And I also realize if I was in Italy, I would never be the guy I am. I'm only who I am because of the country that I come from. That allows me to be this person. I'm not locked in a cultured trap. I'm free, and I don't like people screwing with my freedom. And so I said, this is where the first American Revolution had its roots. I want to see the second one, but of course, I don't want to see any violence. I want this to be an intellectual, a moral, a spiritual, a renaissance.
Withdrawing our consent and then building with art and culture the new world.
Exactly. And just like what you're doing here with your studio. You know, and I'm trying to do this.
No, I'm fully committed. My wife's as smart as I am or smarter. She's lived all over the world. And we've had real discussions about, look at our children, let's get out of here. And I said, yeah, maybe we'll buy some time for a while. But the only way to beat this is let's double down. And so we've committed our family, the kids, everything. We're on the altar of liberty.
Yeah.
I've put my kids on it, everything. It's like...
And with enough people behind us, we could change the course. Again, look who... Look at the people that are ruling us. What self-respecting human being would take these? And you don't have to go around the world. Hey, how about that guy Hollande over there in France, Hollandaise?
Turns out they're all exempt from the taxes in the Socialist Party with 100% tax rate on the middle class. Did you see that?
No, I missed that.
No, that's CNBC. Folks, put it up. 100% tax rate. How's that sound?
That's great.
And then the Socialists are exempt.
Yeah, yeah. And then you see the same thing. You go over to the UK, Cameron and Blair. I mean, look at these little boys, these little chicken hawks. Could you imagine these guys leading a charge? They have big mouths. All these people have big mouths.
Hey, look, there it is. Taxes on some wealthy French top 100% of income. Reuters.
Yep.
I can't even believe that. But you saw where it came out where almost all the top socialists, they got Swiss bank accounts, don't pay taxes, but they can't be they're in control, so no one can stop them. They're not socialists, they're criminals.
And then you pick up today's Wall Street Journal and you look at the front page, they're stopping them. The Portuguese are out in the streets. The Spanish are out in the streets. The Brazilians are out in the streets. People are taking...
Exactly, you predicted it. Stay there, we'll be right back with Gerald Celente. We're back live, and I know we've got people holding that want to ask questions of myself and Gerald Celente, like Gabriel, and, of course, Sergeant Bill has been holding the longest. We'll get to you guys, I promise. We'll do a little bit of overdrive, too. I'm going to have him again interviewed for Obama Deception, too. Now, remember, it's sponsorship that makes this broadcast possible, and the news division we're building, you know, the people's information warfare system using our ammunition, that's the truth, history, common sense, and renaissance and enlightenment that Gerald Celente was just talking about. efoodsdirect.com/Alex. They have the best storable foods at the very best prices out there. It's what I chose for my family as an emergency backup. Ants store food. The government stores food. They tell you not to store food. Or they say have a week of food. Folks, you can get the very best systems. And they've got a free DVD that breaks down the research and 6 free meals you can also get. And for the next few days, it's over this month. It's over in June. Buy 3, get 1 free of any of the storable food kits. Buy 3, get 1 free. And get free shipping. I don't think they've ever offered buy 3, get 1 free and free shipping. That's a big deal when it comes to storable food, the free shipping. So efoodsdirect.com/Alex or 800-409-5633, 800-409-5633. And finally, infidelbodyarmor.com. It's important, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, to have high-quality body armor. And this is a lot better. And Mike Adams, you know, is into this stuff. He says he loves it as well. This is the metal stuff that stops hundreds of rounds, not 6 like chromatic or ceramic. Stops hundreds of rounds from AK-47 up to .308. Infidelbodyarmor.com, infidelbodyarmor.com. They got a huge online catalog, or you can also give them a call and get a physical catalog, 888-608-6605, 888-608-6605, infidelbodyarmor.com, 888-608-6605. And don't forget InfoWarsStore.com and the very best ProPure water filtration systems with 10% off promo code WATER to cut out the bisphenol A and the mercury and the lead and the hydrofluorosilicic acid that they say is so good for you, even though the Harvard study says 20-point IQ reduction within a decade of drinking it, especially in youth, and 7-fold increase in bone cancer. That's just one of the hundreds of things in your loving tap water. So you might want to get a high-quality stainless steel ProPure water filtration at InfoWarsStore.com with 10% off promo code WATER. Because we're not funded by the government. We're funded by great products we believe in. Now, Gerald, you were getting into the world's waking up. I want to get your current take on how they're trying to drive down gold and silver, what's happening in the global economy, what's mainly on your radar, the open funding of Al-Qaeda in Syria now, how that's out in the open, and then what you think of the NSA and what you think of the Rolling Stone editors, you know, saying, they've told me, now I've talked to his friends, his family, I found the quotes. They've said, the Army has told me they're going to kill me for this story. I've got a bigger one on the CIA. I'm going to, let's talk about that before we get back into this, what's happening. What do you do when we know, looks, clearly they killed Aaron Swartz. He wasn't going to kill himself. He was going to fight those fake charges. This guy, his car blows up. The engine blows 60 yards down the street. His wife says, I think he was killed. I'm going to, you know, demand a real investigation and bring down, quote, whoever did this. I talked to his Army buddy. He goes, oh, yeah, it looks like he was killed. This is on the show a couple days ago. This is nowhere in the news that the widow and his best buddy think he was probably killed and are calling for investigation. They're attacking me, saying I'm a conspiracy theorist and shouldn't question it. What do we do when stuff like that's going on?
You have to tune out. I mean, I was watching the news today. I watch it every day because I have to see what they're talking about. Why don't we talk about Trayvon Martin? How about that Hernandez guy? I mean, we could go on and talk about nothing. So they become complicit. The press is, in this country, there is no fourth estate. So the reality is that the CIA, the FBI, the NSA have been lying to us forever. Why would anybody believe anything that they say? So, of course, you take it with a grain of salt well, how about the whole Boston Marathon? I mean, you did that wonderful InfoWars where you had it on the cover. I mean, we have no information about that. The story kept changing by the minute.
They're killing witnesses left and right.
Yeah. Remember the story that they robbed a 7-Eleven? No, they didn't rob a 7-Eleven. Oh, there was a gunfight between the kid when he was in the boat, and there was no gunfight. They didn't have, they had all these weapons. No, they didn't have all those weapons. So about the Snowden, to me, there's nothing new that we haven't written about in the Trends Journal over a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, in chapter and verse. And even when we wrote about it, we said that this news was coming out, and nobody seems to care about it. We even use that language. So Snowden hasn't said anything new. The only thing that's different with Snowden is he has the hard proof with him. But there's not a thing that he said that hasn't been written about or talked about by myself and others. What's that guy, Bamford or
James Bamford?
Yeah, he's written.
But I mean, the CIA director bragged they were spying on us without warrants. But it's okay when he's saying it's good.
Yeah. So again, it's what I've said from the very beginning, when the whole too big to fail began, and people would call Obama communist and a Marxist and all of this. I said, no, it's fascism. It's the merger of state and corporate powers. So the behavior is perfectly acceptable under a fascist regime. This is what to expect.
And they're consciously converting us to that because that's the only system they're going to survive in as tyrants. I mean, that's why it's a no-brainer. So what do? We start buying local. We start withdrawing our consent from the system. We don't support any big chains. What else do we do?
Well, again, you know, one of the things my motto was in the last election, stay home, don't vote. If we get under 40% of the people that don't voting, and we could really say that, no, this is not a representative form of government.
But have them say we withdraw consent because we say this is not a real process.
It's not a real process. What do we got? We have the Republicans and the Democrats.
You know, they've done that before. We could hold alternate elections.
Again, boycott this mafia. And yeah, that's another one. So again, it has to begin at the grassroots. Again, and one of the ones that I keep suggesting is pushes for direct democracy. As I mentioned, Hillary said she didn't care what the polls showed. We're going to do more in Afghanistan. You don't see Chelsea over there in uniform. Bill didn't go to war. Obama didn't go to war. None of these guys did. Let the people vote. You want to go to war? Let the people vote.
I read about this years ago and kind of forgot about it, but I went and looked it up last week. They have thousands of troops forced in their contract into a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th tour with parts of their feet or their whole foot blown off. They're sticking prosthesis on people and saying, get in there, Marine. Unbelievable.
And you know what another disgusting thing is how these advertisers are using the military. There's this Iams dog food ad. I don't know if you saw that one, man. Whew, what a trip. I mean, there's this big dog waiting near the door or the window, looking out, and all of a sudden Dawn walks in with a camouflage uniform, back from a tour of duty, and this dog's on top of her. I mean, you really want to talk about sexploitation. And then I'm watching another one. Zwillow.
No, what, you're being bigoted against bestiality now.
Yeah, right. Zwillow, is that the one with the real estate one?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one there, and the little girl and the mother walk into a house, and it's an empty house that they just bought, and they open the door, and there's the guy in military combat uniform. You know, obviously he just came home. They're using this military thing, the advertising,
to sell their agenda.
Exactly, and in doing so, they're selling they're brainwashing the public to continue to accept this lunacy as, what have we accomplished in these wars? Oh, the Vietnam War, you guys did a great job.
Well, listen, that is pure Pavlovian. Any football game, any basketball game, when they score or something big happens, they cut to the military clapping Pavlovianly, like, get a new house, military. Dogs happy, military. Make a touchdown, military. To like Pavlovian, I mean, I guess next time, have Marilyn Monroe bend over or something, they have the military pop out.
You got to look at this Iams ad. I mean, I'm telling you, man.
We got it on screen. There it is.
Yeah, wait till she lays down on the floor and the dog's on top of her. I mean, I'm not making this up. Watch. There you go.
With their legs spread.
Yeah, look at the dog. I mean, the dog.
And you can tell.
And
I bet that person in the ad didn't even understand. It's not even subliminal. That's the thing. They got the public so unconscious
That's what I mean. Yeah, I mean, you see they both had the same uniform.
Hey, listen.
The same exact colors.
Listen, all these children's shows that are targeting kids and ABC Family, the bad guys are the heterosexual men, and the CPS cops, actually the women, they keep the kids, and then they go, oh my gosh, the heteros on the show, if it's on my phone, I actually took a photo of it in the movie theater in the ad. It's called The Fosters. The biologicals know the kids are here, and then it shows the cop taking out the dad. And I mean, the bad guys are dads, And then they have a gay and lesbian thing at the White House with little girls introducing it. And they have articles about, oh, Elmo, you know, the creator of it says it's good. And, oh, Bert and Ernie, they say it's good that they're gay. And it's good for your kids to be gay. I'm not even against, quote, gay people, but I'm against sexualizing children. How is it okay to sexualize kids if it's homosexual versus heterosexual? How is it okay to have the dog with her legs spread on top of her, the Irish Wolfhound? I mean, why are they obsessed with this? Why are they shoving it down our throats?
Again, it's sick at every level. I was mentioning that, like, they took us to the Vietnam War. We lost 58,000 people, 250,000 committed suicide. And a bunch of guys I know have, you know, half out of their mind from going there. Then they lost in Afghanistan. We've lost in Iraq. They destroyed Libya, and now they're talking about Syria. It's lunacy at every level.
But they make money.
Exactly. And
so they're actually winning. The globalists are sucking America dry while they destroy other countries.
And that, oh, you were talking about Snowden. This isn't about NSA spying. It's about another aspect of the military-industrial complex. It's the cyber-industrial complex. According to the Financial Times, we the people are spending $80 billion a year on national security. Where is it going? Hey, you know the guy that's the head of the Booz Allen, a great name for the company too, right? Booz Allen. Mike McConnell, you know where he was before he was CEO of...
Yes.
Yeah. How many years under Clinton? 1992 to
It's all a payoff.
NSA. He was the head of the NSA.
I was reading where some of these companies are getting $10 billion a year to spy on us, and then they're allowed to use the intelligence in their other corporate divisions against competition.
Yep. And this is the rub. Oh, this guy Snowden, you know, he's jeopardized the national security of the United States by spilling these what secrets? That they're spying on us? But here's the thing. We're not allowed to know a damn thing about it, but yet they hire 850,000, according to the Financial Times.
800 plus thousand.
Right? But they're allowed to watch us, but we're not allowed to watch anybody or know anything.
Listen, every time I've been with national film crews in D.C., 200 yards from the monument, and they go up to families filming and say, turn that off, the police, just to dominate, and the security guards. And they come to the camera and go, well, this city doesn't give permits to film, plus we don't need one, to like mainstream film channels. And the cop goes, turn it off, you're going to jail. And then and then families in front of the White House with their iPhones out taping. Secret Service comes over in plain clothes, but also in police outfits, and threatens you. And they're laughing, and I go, wow, this country isn't free. And they go, you're right, now move it. I mean, and then they have all these movies where the White House is being blown up to create the illusion that it's under attack. And, I mean, it's just a joke. I live in North Korea.
And that's why we need the Second American Revolution.
I don't know how these feds, because it wasn't just us in film crews, because, you know, we were clean cut and good looking. I couldn't imagine if we weren't. They would go over to families and go, ma'am, don't film the White House. And she'd be across the park like 200. She'd go, I'm here with my kids. I'm going to make this easy. And you want to go over and punch the guy in the nose.
I mean, this is what's going on. And so it's a loss of liberty at every step of the way.
What is wrong with, how do they get people to act like this? I just...
Well, there's a whole profile. Again, you're looking at all the people that are, you know, people probably have empty lives and they're getting fulfilled by.
We have footage of this in Kansas City, where my crew is filming the Federal Reserve from 500 yards away at a city park. And Federal Reserve security guards with guns come over and go, we said leave or it's going to get rough. And my guys have been told not to get in confrontations. And we went, but First Amendment, they go, this isn't even your property. And they go, we told you leave or it's going to be hard on you.
Yeah.
And then it was in the newspaper.
Yeah.
That was a total official oppression.
Alex, they closed down 100 square miles of Boston. Shelter in place made people stay in their homes.
Yeah, let's find that and show that. Go ahead.
Right?
Yeah.
100 to get a 19-year-old kid. That's the other thing I've been thinking about. Look at the people that have destabilized the American government. Look at these treacherous people. Bradley Manning. Now, there's a real one you have to watch out. This little poor guy. Bradley Manning, this 19-year-old kid that they got in the hospital from the Boston Marathon, and this guy Snowden. I mean, look at the young guys, and they make these young guys, they're a threat to national security. I mean, that's how sick it's become.
Oh, they bombed Boston. The feds did it. We've got all the evidence.
But I'm just saying,
we got behind the scenes stuff.
Look at the kids that they.
No, I know they get poor patsies. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, it looks like Manning isn't probably the one that actually released much of it. They even know that. They're just burning him because he's easy.
Yeah. But again, look at the faces. Look at the faces that are a threat to America.
Well, I'm sure you saw the videos in Boston where women would walk out and they would aim guns, and then the women would get in the street and put their hands down, and the cops would push them and go, "Get your hands back up." It was an excuse to have just an orgy that everyone was a terrorist. Now when they have a flood in a city, in Canada or here, they lock down everything and go rob everybody's guns.
I know, yeah, it's shelter in place. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So again, this is why we have to either go in a new direction, because if we stay on the one we're on, it's cooked. I want to mention also about the economy, you asked me. Again, it is happening. Here, look at that picture in today's toilet paper wreck at the New York Times.
We'll give folks a document cam shot of that.
Right? Look at the guy. People.
Oh, my gosh, he's such an evil protester.
Right? Look at him. And there's another one in today's...
Tell the listeners what's happening there. It just shows a protester faced off against the police before a soccer match in Brazil on Thursday. I mean, at least the Brazilians, they say they're sick of government corruption.
They're sick of government. Here's another one. Here, look at this one. It's the same thing everywhere. Here, look at this one.
Let's see, we've got the estrogen in our water, so we don't.
We don't have people to stand up here. That's in Portugal. It's going on all over the world. It's in Turkey. On Sunday, there's going to be a big demonstration in Egypt. And they're already warning. The Egyptian secularists, by the way, are saying that the United States is behind the Islamic Brotherhood government of Morsi, and they're against the secularists. You could read that.
Of course.
Yeah.
They always put the radicals in.
And now this is what the secularists... Anyway, so there's a big showdown coming in Egypt. And the military may step in again. Again, you go to Portugal, you go to Brazil.
Because they know those radical Muslims wrecked those countries.
Exactly. And then you go 35 killed already in China in the Xinjiang province. People around the world are demonstrating against their the greatest fear, by the way, that the Chinese government has are the people. That is their
Let's explain that. And why worldwide? Because we're really in a depression that you and others predicted. The media is not just telling us. In little isolated pockets, people are doing okay. But overall, by every metric, I've had countless economists on, we've been in a depression, what, 5 years?
5 years.
5 years. We'll be back with Gerald Celente with trendsjournal.com. Hey, that reminds me of Ted Nugent. We need to get Ted on. He routinely, every month or so, calls the hotline when he wants to get on. We need to just remind me to call Ted up after the 4th of July. I want to get Billy Corrigan back on, too. Not name-dropping here, our listeners. Great people like Ted Nugent, Billy Corrigan, very diverse. Liberty lovers. I'm just remembering all these big guests I forget to get on. Boy, we're going to go into overdrive, and I promise go to Gabriel and Sergeant Bill and others that have really been patient. You can ask me your question and, of course, then get Gerald Celente to chime in on it. Very honored. Folks have been calling into the broadcast here. Gerald is going to do some taping today for the Obama deception. And if he's still got energy, he has a lot of it. Who knows, he might be on the nightly news. But it's really a treat to have him here in town with us. We got a lot of big ideas cooking with Gerald as well. You may hear about in the next few months. We'll just leave it at that. Gerald, finishing up with the global depression. 5 years, you agree with that analysis by all the metrics. And that's why this stuff's also happening. And you predicted, you said, when they lose everything, they lose it.
Yeah, and then they take it to war. So now let's look what's going on. We saw the stock markets go through this roller coaster ride since Ben Bernanke, Osama Ben Bernanke, public enemy #1, announced that they would be tapering off on their stimulus. Gold, of course, it's lost so much strength since that has happened. And then we look at behind it. The markets, let me get this straight now. The markets are going down because they say there's not going to be any more stimulus. However, everyone admits that the stimulus has not stimulated the economy. The only thing it's done, it's gone to the bankers and the financial institutions for them to make money. Because as we look, since the Great Depression began, the Greatest Depression, the jobs that were lost between 2008 and 2013 are mostly middle-income paying jobs. This is a fact. The jobs that have been created are mostly low-paying wage jobs that aren't enough to have to maintain a standard of living, a working wage. Here are the jobs that have been created. You want a job as a bartender or waitress? There's a job waiting for you someplace. Do you want a job in hospitality? Wonderful word for cleaning up and making beds in hotels and that kind of thing. You can maybe find a job there. They're creating some there. Temporary workers, no benefits, no pensions, nothing.
And in China, they're replacing the people with robots. Where does it all end?
So you look at the jobs that are being created. They're all low-paying jobs. Manufacturing jobs are being lost. When you mention China, they're being lost here and over there. And, oh, that's the other part of the equation, by the way. China is also in a slowdown. They have a liquidity crisis, and they're saying we're not going to dump more dough into this to keep the Ponzi scheme going. But it's bigger than a liquidity crisis. It's a debt crisis. Because the banks, just like they were doing here, the hot money has been flowing into real estate. You hear about.
So what do you predict is going to happen? Will they keep the QE going, or will they stop it? They're naked shorting to drive down gold artificially. Ron Paul says it'll go to infinity once that stops.
I agree with Ron Paul. I don't know what they're going to do, but I do know this, and so does everybody else. Read the headline in today's business section of the USA Today. Mortgage rate party's over. I mentioned to you that I bought those buildings. I got a 2.875% interest rate on one of them, and that was in February. So that's, and oddly, I hedged my bets by doing this without having any intention of doing so. Now mortgage rates are up to 30 years now up to 4.46%. It's a 30-year fixed rate rose to 4.6%, the highest in almost 2 years, up from under 4% a week ago, and they've gone up some 20.
And I remember you said that about a year ago. You said by the end of 2013, I think you put it in one of your publications, that they were going to end the QE. How did you know that?
Because they can't keep this going on forever. Interest rates.
That's what you said last year. Exact quote, yeah.
So where is it going to end? We're going to go into worse conditions than what we saw in 2008.
We're going to come back, take calls, and explain what that's going to mean, what you think's coming out of that. Overdrive, Infowars.com/show. If some stations don't carry it, key intel, Infowars.com/show. Great job of the main crew. Stay with us. All right, you're real troopers. We've had folks holding while we talk to Gerald. And he's going to be with us another 30 minutes here in Overdrive. It is, of course, Friday, the 28th day of June. I'll be back this Sunday live, 4 to 6 p.m. Central. And I'll be back Monday live, and then we've got guest host throughout next week, including Ben Fuchs on Friday. I should throw that out there. David Knight on Wednesday. And, of course, we're going to have Mike Adams on Tuesday. But I'll be calling in, and there'll be special reports during that as well. I'm going to be working part of that time, using it to get some of the other work around here done, but also do important things like take my children fishing. Gerald Celente, again, is our guest. I promise to go to your calls. Gabriel in Texas, you're a trooper. You have questions. I hope we have answers. Go ahead, Gabriel.
Yeah, hi. The first thing I wanted to kind of talk about was this whole NSA spying thing. I've been a kid of like the 90s and growing up with the internet and learning all about it. And on the internet, specific boards, we used to have a term for when the FBI used to show up at your house. We used to call it the party van. And a lot of the hacktivist groups and people that I know who've been on the internet using it to expose the truth about government cover-ups and shitty emails that they send to each other. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to have to let you go, bro. What was your question?
Oh, yeah. My question was this, like, how do you feel, like, knowing that, like, this is a thing that's been happening for a really long time to us, the younger generation? And
well, I mean, the government always practices unconstitutional stuff on young people, on poor people, on minorities, people they think can't protect themselves. And then groups that think they're protected always think they're safe. Oh, that's just happened to them. And then it ends up happening to everybody. Gerald Celente, your take on that?
Well, again, it's just more of the same. There's nothing new about it. They just go after anybody they can, and if they have the young activists because they were the ones that were ahead of the game on understanding what the whole computer revolution was, and they grew up with it, so they had more knowledge of it than most other people.
Absolutely, and I think the hacktivist community are some of the best people out there. Most of what they do is good, exposing corruption, and then usually it's some corporation or criminals that are doing bad things with hacking. But hacking in and of itself, how it was started was done from a liberty perspective. People like Dr. Stallman and others. I mean, I just see good work out of the hackers. Happy hacking. Sergeant Bill, you're on the air with Gerald Celente and good old Alejandro Jones. Go ahead.
How you doing, Alex?
Good, sir.
Hello, Gerald. You're one of my favorite good fellas with rhythm.
Yeah, say that again, sir.
You're one of my favorite good fellas with rhythm. I see you were dancing around the issues. Hey, Alex, you're right up there with one of the great ones, Chuck Carter. I really respect what you do.
By the way, we've been trying to get Chuck Carter on. I'm jealous of George Norrie. He was able to get him on last year, and we've been in contact with Chuck Carter to bring him on, talk about his book, give him credit for the icon he is. Whatever happened with Chuck Carter, Chris? Well, we're just going to keep calling Chuck Carter. It's on his website, too. You know who Chuck Carter is?
No, I don't.
He was one of the early guys, got on like 300 stations at one time, even before Rush Limbaugh, and then kind of faded through with him, who talked about the New World Order and stuff. Just a really splendid person. I never got the attention he needed, but in the Midwest and stuff, he was king. I mean, he was on over 300 radio stations. And, you know, he didn't really wake me up, but he woke up people that woke me up, kind of. You know, he just really is an amazing person. Anything else, sir?
Yes, I'd like to salute you for exposing the crimes of vaccines and psychotropic drugs. Since my son went through this nightmare for like 3 or 4 months, and I got to see it up close and to talk to patients, and these mental behavior units are killing fields. And I really appreciate what you're doing. And
yeah, well, the doctors and most of them know what the vaccines are doing, but they're mandated to do it outside of law, so they're going to cover it up. But, I mean, all the doctors I talk to know, Gerald.
Yeah, no, what they're doing also is these kids coming from broken families, socially troubled families, now they're not giving them any help at all other than psychotropic drugs, and that's no help at all.
Well, it's basically, they might as well just give them lobotomies. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
These drugs do that in all the shots. We'll be back with more calls with Gerald Celente. I'm Alex Jones, trendsjournal.com, Infowars.com. Folks, we got Gerald Celente down here going native, drinking lime Topo Chicos. Let me tell you the secret around here. The gringos drink the regular Topo Chico, but guys that know what's good, we drink the lime Topo Chicos. Now, I mean, I didn't like these when I first drank them about 10 years ago. It's an acquired taste, but it's really like kind of strong mineral water. I'm addicted to these. By the way, they're not a sponsor. This is not product placement here, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, look at the guys. I asked for some water, and they're just lavishing us. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. I'll just pour this water on top of my head. Anyways, but I am product placing with InfoWarsTeam.com for all the great vitamins and minerals and the rest of it. Let's go back to the calls so they're all out of the way, and then hit final trends with Gerald Celente here on the live broadcast today. Chad, you're on the air, sir. Welcome.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Thank you for holding.
Hi, Mr. Jones. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good, brother.
First things first, I know you hate this, but I got to do this, man. You saved my life, brother, okay? 2 years ago, I was eating myself to an early heart attack, and because of your ministry, talking about good health and good nutrition, I've lost almost 80 pounds, and I'm on my way to becoming a real info warrior. But my question for you, sir, I'm awake. I'm trying to wake my wife up. She's a TV head. My main question is it more important to get your temple in order, and by your temple I mean your body in order, or is it more important to just jump out into activism and take on a new world order headstrong?
Okay, let me say this, and I'll put you on hold and come back to you for audio issues, but let me just be clear. People look at me, and I'm not the most photogenic person. I mean, when in person people say, man, you look a lot skinnier than you are on air. The camera adds weight, especially to certain people. But when I say, because I mismentioned InfoWars Team and longevity a minute ago, not knowing the next caller was about to bring that up, I saw it with Aaron Dykes losing 90-something pounds. It's not even advertised as weight loss. I saw it with my wife having incredible results, Ted Anderson having incredible results, with the stuff they've got for osteo things, not having to have a knee surgery because of it, OsteoFX. I saw it with my mom, who's a triathlete, and my dad. I lost 40 pounds, then have gone back and forth because I still do a lot of unhealthy stuff. Just doing Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Pollen Burst Plus, the things at InfoWarsHealth.com, I've been able to work harder, longer. I've just never been a vitamin or mineral guy, so I'm always going on and off of it. My wife's like, hey, you've stopped. You stopped taking the essential fatty acids. You've stopped. People that don't stop and do it, My dad, I was at his house, he's got a pool the other day, and I was like, you look, you're like 19, Dad. I look like I'm a hippopotamus. No, actually, when I'm wearing swim trunks, I don't have that big of a belly. And I actually exercise a lot. I'm actually just more like, you know, a gorilla or something. I'm a little bit stocky. But I think it goes hand in glove. I think you should get your family in order, your health in order, exercise, think about what's going on, 90% of your effort at first, 10% and going to city council, county commissioners getting involved. There's always room for all of it. And I think once you start getting your health a little bit more in order, and then you discover, wow, they always knew all this, but never told me, now it's your job to go out and warn other people and explain to them what you've discovered, that, hey, you know, they didn't tell me I need 90 minerals and vitamins and essential elements and things. They only told me I needed, you know, 20 or something. So it's just incredible the type of knowledge in health that's out there. So just because I know it doesn't mean I've been putting it all into function. Gerald, we were just talking about health before the break there. We were talking about what big medicine offers. I mean, they have people everywhere with basically scurvy. Rot holes in their skin, their teeth falling out because all they eat is fast food with no real vitamin C, and the doctors won't tell them, hey, you got scurvy. They don't even teach doctors to look for scurvy.
You know, the other one I would add into it is mental health, in the sense that I meditate every day. I begin my day with meditation.
By the way, you look like you're in great shape.
Well, thank you.
For 25.
Yeah. You know, I don't know if you know this. I have an honorary doctorate in complementary medicine from the National University of Health Sciences. And the first book I worked on, 1986, was Natural Healing. So I would suggest that before you do anything, yes, you get your body in order and you get your mind in order. You know, everybody has this movie going on in their head. And what meditation does for me is tries to stop the movie. So when you stop the movie, then new thoughts can enter in.
It's like a reset.
Exactly. And you really never, it's very hard to quiet your mind. But in meditation, just the awareness that you're trying to quiet your mind and new thoughts are coming into it.
When I swim,
part of the meditation.
About a half mile in, I go into like a zen, but I can't do it every time. Like this morning I couldn't. By the end I got real mad at about a mile and a half because I was trying to get all the stuff out of my head and I couldn't do it.
And that's why I begin my day meditation. You know, so I would just suggest that it's the mind, the body, and the spirit.
Absolutely, but I was interrupting you.
No, that's all. That's it. That's it. On that number.
So it's all of it equal parts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you start,
you become more of the activist because you're functioning at higher levels.
So you agree with me, first get yourself in order.
Exactly. I mean, you could dabble in, like you said, you know, you dabble around the edges, keep learning more about what's going on, but you have to be in shape. You know, the better shape you're in, the better fight you're going to win.
I have the problem, though, that when I really take all the vitamins and minerals and exercise like twice a day and eat healthy, I get so crazed and my brain works so much.
That's where the meditation comes in.
Exactly. How do you handle being really alive?
And that's what I'm saying, is that's why I begin my day with the meditation. I'm as crazy as you are. You know, I never stop. And that's why the meditation, there's a book out, by the way, people ask me. I have a real good friend. His name is Alex McMullen, a Vietnam vet. And through an accident, not far from where I live, he became a quadriplegic. And this guy is a great guy. He tells me all the time, he said, man, I could never make it if I didn't meditate. And remember, this guy's a man's man, and now, you know, he's been in a wheelchair now for 20-something years. And meditation, what it does to you, it helps you stop the movie. And people say, well, how do you meditate? The book I recommend is from Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Vietnamese Buddhist. But you could do anything, you know, whether you're breathing and counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, because a lot of the Christians, and I'm a Christian, say, stay away from that. That's occultic. No, it's just a way to clear your brain out.
That's all it is.
People made religions out of it.
Exactly. They got gurus and all that other stuff.
All the con artistry.
All it is about trying to quiet your mind. Like you said, you got all this energy, all this stuff. Everybody has their movie. And everybody thinks their movie is the only movie in the world. The thing is to stop the movie. When you stop the movie, you have then new thoughts enter in. Things that aren't important fade out. And it really brings back a balance in your body.
Yeah, as soon as I can get in that mode, swimming, or it's usually when I'm exercising, or wake up in the middle of the night and sit on the couch and think, then I don't worry about fake enemies and people that make stuff up. I actually want to try to like help them and wake them up. But when I'm running the daily, you know, grind, I get really mad.
Yeah, so again, that's why I begin my day with meditation.
So there's a really positive thing. And I mean, the Bible talks about it just going to the still places.
Exactly. I've been doing this for since the beginning of time. Again, and then like you pointed out, then they make a religion out of it, and people believe in this guru stuff. The guru is you. That's it. It ends with you, begins with, I get a kick out of these politicians. They always say, oh, they're going to have, what legacy will they leave behind? What legacy? Nothing. What'd they find? King Richard III under a parking lot?
Yeah.
I guess just to put it into perspective. You don't count, man. Once you're dead,
the only way you count is building new technology, new info literature, and that love goes forward. And then you can commune with others even after you're gone. They're going to see what you did, and you're going to live on.
That's the way it is. And
it's not an arrogant living on.
No.
It's that you care about humanity, want to communicate into the future.
And you want to do the best you can do while you're alive. And I was married a long time. I'm divorced a long time. I have no children. Everybody I love is essentially dead. So I'm not hanging on to anything. And for me, only speaking for myself, and the motto of the Trends Research Institute, think for yourself, to me, hell is taking that last breath and knowing that you weren't the person you said you were or could have been.
That's exactly what I think. I just want to be real. I can't believe people hold on to their fakeness like it's a shield.
I know. So
I want to go to break and come back with more calls with you, Gerald. But again, they'll spin this that we're being anti a group or whatever. But you eloquently summed up in about 2 minutes during a break about an hour ago. What is behind the 24/7, every show, anti-male, anti-family, ramming, dogs humping on women in dog food commercials? What is behind this? Is it that the elite are all whacked out and decadent? I mean, what is this about? Why are they at war with original males?
All right, we'll talk about it when we get back.
No, tell me now.
You want to take it? Okay.
We're going to break.
I understand. Okay, the first thing is, I love these courses that they have in school. Women's studies.
Skip this break, guys. Go ahead.
How about men's studies? How about a course in men's studies? Can you imagine going $40,000 in debt for women's studies? Number two, they're making a big deal out of it as though it's positive that some 41% of the households are now run by single women, and another equal number, about 41% of the new births have come from unwed mothers, as though it's a wonderful thing that families are just being run by women. And just speaking for myself, I want the male energy. I believe, all of a sudden, from the beginning of time, there was men and women and children, and now it's okay. It's just perfectly fine to have one parent run the household.
Listen, with government bureaucrats,
and going on with this, and then they complain that, well, the wages that women are getting are a lot lower. Okay, now put this all together now. You have 41% of the households, or thereabouts, have single women running the households. They're not making a lot of money. What do you think this kid or children are going to grow up like? And then you look at the real demographic in the real world where I come from. A guy that grew up in the Bronx and Yonkers, and still dabbles in those areas. What we're looking at? We're looking at 19, 18-year-old kids having kids that are out of their mind, that came from families that were out of their mind. Their mother's whacked out on meth. They don't know who their father is, and they're finding some value in themselves by having children. Coming here to the show, a person I was talking to, his 25-year-old son is now involved with a 19-year-old girl from a crazy family. She already has a kid. Now she's having another one. And now he's out of the picture. What is this family going to grow up like? Look around what's happening. Look at the income levels, look at the people having children, and look what society is producing. All I will say in defense of everything that I just said, if it was working, you'd think we'd be in the problems that we have now.
Exactly. You're 4 times more likely to end up in prison or on drugs and to be in a low-income wage if a father is not there when you're growing up. And they say, why are you attacking women? No, we're humans. This is how we operate.
Men and women are women. We do things differently. Oh, and here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Every damn show out there, the guy is lucky to be able to tie his shoes without the kid telling him how.
And by the way,
and that's the other part of this, by the way, with this whole thing, that all of a sudden, particularly the parents, the mother most of the time, all their kids are special and amazing. I'm a single guy. Go out with women and have they're so amazing. They're so special. They're kids. Get over it. They're kids. They're not special or amazing. They're little kids. Oh,
you've got to make them special and amazing.
You got to make yourself special and amazing. What are they, splitting the atom? I mean, who of us that grew up at 20-something years old knew what the hell we were doing?
Well, let's throw more at that. They have shows like The Fosters now where they say men are bad. They actually say it should be 2 women in the household. So it's bigotry towards men, and you see it in every show. And Hitler said, first you get the women, then you got the children, so follow the men. They know that women make 80% of the advertising purchases, off advertising. They're targeting women to break up the family, to make the state the daddy, and only the state can be masculine.
And you know why this country is going down? Because there are no men in it. Look at the people we got leading us.
The criminals are all super hyper-aggressive men, and they know they're dominating, getting rid of the men so nobody opposes them.
There are no men. Look in the Congress. Where's a man? Harry Reid? There's a man for you.
Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham. Yeah, there's a tough cat. Keep going down the line. Boner. What's his name? I mean, keep going.
Look at Obama.
Look at Obama. Look at Bush. Look at all of them.
But getting into what's behind pushing the whole agenda on kids, having the Muppets come out and be gay, what's behind that?
I don't know what's behind it, but it's a whole decline. And again, the men
happened in Rome before it collapsed.
I didn't know that, but I agree. I probably did. But again, look at TV. The men are all stupid. And if you want to talk about discrimination, how come there are no men's studies in all these schools? Why are there just women's studies? Oh, and here's my favorite. If only the women were in control, everything would be great. Hey, you know who started the Libyan War? You know the 3 witches of Macbeth behind it? Try Hillary Clinton, Samantha Powers, and Susan Rice. Yeah. Oh, and those lovely other sweet little fine little ladies like Margaret Thatcher and Indira Gandhi. Who's the lunatic they just threw out of Australia over there? Gillard. And they put another lunatic in, Rudd. But women, it's not a gender issue. It's a morality issue.
Well, look.
They've turned it into a gender issue.
I agree, but we are scientifically being attacked because they know families will stand up for each other. And that's why they're trying to get rid of the nuclear family and badmouth it. Austin is so trendy that we have 3 children. My wife has had women come over and tell her, you got too many kids. I mean, that's how weird these people are.
Yeah.
What would you say if somebody came up to you and got in your face?
I said, mind your own business. Get the hell out of here. That's what I'd say.
It's incredible.
What, are you out of your mind?
But I mean, but how do the other rest of the world is not committing suicide and not,
Again, look what condition we're in. If it was working so well, we'd be in much better shape. If we have an educational system that was worth anything, be it higher education or K-12, you think the nation would be in the problems that
Well, let me throw this out there. Men buy into this message they should be lazy and stupid and do what their wife tells them. I mean, I know a lot of men that literally just love this. I tell you, it's pathetic. And then they think I'm bad because I don't want to be a slave.
Well, the same thing with me. They'll say I'm a macho. Yeah, I'm macho. You're a feminist. I'm a macho. So what?
Yeah, but the difference is that those women, they always figure out what they actually want is a real man. The point is, these women don't want some guy following them like a baby elephant behind them. I mean, that is not what they're looking for.
What else do they have? Again, look at the leaders. And again, look around the world. What do you got? What do you have over there in England? Camera and I mean, come on. He's a little boy. Look what we got over there in France, Hollande, Sarkozy. I mean, these guys aren't guys. They're to me, the last real man in the White House was Eisenhower.
Well, it is true that, I mean, where are the manly leaders that really just want to build a good society for people?
Yeah, it's not a question about control. It's a question about men do what men do, women do what women do. And at one time, look what's going on. Look at the income gap in this country. not only between women and men, between all of us and them, the 1%.
Well, they've done studies. Women are actually paid more than men on average. If you take the fact that they get pregnant, they want time off, they do that, which is fine. I mean, and then the feminists said, it's not good to raise your children. Let the state do it. As if it's a bad decision. Like my mother had several degrees, had been in business, been in newspapers. When she had me and then my sister later, she decided to be a homemaker. And that was important. And she would have women in Dallas say, you ought to be working. It's pathetic that you're at home. And she's like, what do you mean? I like this.
Here, check it out. You're a little kid, you're born, and all of a sudden, 6 weeks old, you have a stranger taking care of you that's making no money at all. They're hardly paid anything. I mean, if my mother, may her soul rest in peace, wasn't home, I'd be a lunatic. I'd be really out of my mind by now. I mean, you know, the times that...
How dare your mother and other family raise you? That is evil.
Yeah, I mean, all the trouble I used to get into.
Well, imagine breastfeeding, where the brain's actually developed. Did you know when they do this formula that's designed like 70-something% sugar when it's supposed to be like 20-30%, and it's high fructose corn syrup full of chemicals, the brains are about a third smaller, the CC size. They don't fill the skull cavity. I mean, think what we do to our kids so the women can go to work immediately.
I know. Again, a little infant comes out, and now who's taking care of that kid? I mean, a stranger? I mean, to me, and again, you could write all the hate mail you want. I don't care. Anybody you want to tell me I'm not, you know, a misogynist. It's a lot of crap.
See, no. You shove the kids in there.
Yeah, from some stranger where the kid, in the old days, from the beginning of civilization, the mother would be with the child.
That's a conspiracy theory. Women never breastfeed.
They never were with the child.
No, next they're going to say that women's breasts are there to be injected full of, you know, bisphenol A, and they're there to get cancer.
Silicone. That's what they're there for, to put more silicone into them.
You didn't know babies drink silicone?
But really, I mean, all of us, think about it.
Hey, Chicken McNuggets have silicone in them. Why not?
Think of what they're doing to the kids. They're raising children, and their strangers have their kids. I mean, my God, you know, I mean, I could not imagine.
No, that's the state taking over. It's getting you used to it.
And look at the people that they have taking care of them. You know, they're low-paid people. I'm sure they're well-intentioned.
You know who the CPS really wants? Is good families with good, healthy kids, because they can sell them to the adoption rackets, and the average person getting a kid adopted doesn't even know where they came from. A lot of times, they're like, oh, this is a healthy little baby. Yeah, it was stolen from somebody for no reason. But if they're putting cigarettes out on kids and beating them, and it's a 5-pound, you know, year-old baby, and they have cases of that, starving to death with flies all over them, CPS will look in the crib and won't help them, because they don't want the baby covered with flies. They want your healthy baby. Yeah. How sick is that?
Pretty sick.
You know what? Maybe we're wrong. Maybe the government's actually good, Gerald.
Yeah. No, again, this whole system to me, you know, it's just not working. Again, if it worked, we wouldn't be in the problems that we have.
We're going to come back with a final segment with Gerald Celente and your calls. Chad, Alcatraz, Mike, Michael, Mike, and Keebler. All of you and more coming up as Gerald Celente samples the ambrosia of Topo Chico Lime. Brought to you by Infowars.com. Hey, I need to have them as a sponsor, actually. Send the sales guys after them. You know, I tend to get on air and not even plug the incredible news and stories that are on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. It's all up there. Everything that's going on. We've got the head of the Austin Police Union is saying that the citizen watch groups that are videotaping police better watch it or they're going to get hurt. I haven't even gotten to that video. We'll cover it on the nightly news tonight. I mean, the government's just getting out of control. You see, they get to where they can't get any trouble, and then they go so crazy it finally goes overboard. That's how tyrannies always work in history.
This is what happens when societies decline. It's as old as history. When societies are thriving and doing well, they're not breaking down on you. Topo Chico, right?
Yeah.
The only one I knew was Topo Gijo. That was the guy on the Ed Sullivan show with the little hand puppet there, Topo Gijo. But anyway, I like Topo Chico. It's really nice stuff.
Let's stop it. They're not a sponsor. They should be. Getting thousands of dollars of plugs here.
All right. But anyway,
I'm teasing you.
No, this is what happens when societies break down. The more they break down, the tougher they get crack down on the people. It's as old as history, and that's what you're seeing.
And then that breaks down things more, and then they got to crack down more.
And that's why we have to return it. And you were talking about the ways to return it. Number one, bring home the troops. No foreign entanglements. Number two.
That's George Washington. We can't listen to him.
That's right, yeah. He was a real commander-in-chief, right?
Led from the front.
Yeah, I'm a commander-in-chief. Yeah, commander-in-chief. These guys kidding, you know. And the other ones, the other ones that I believe in are have to put back the laws in place that they put in place so these things wouldn't happen. And one of them, of course, is the Glass-Steagall Act. And as you well know, today we were talking about C-SPAN. They're talking about banking regulations, you know. The regulation is there. It was dismantled by Slick Willie Clinton and Robert Rubin, who was the former head of the Goldman Sachs gang. And, of course, they created from that big companies like... who are they?
MF Global?
MF Global, they're taking Corzine.
Oh, but yeah, what do you think now? A couple of years after he stole your money, he may go to jail.
Oh, yeah, he may go nowhere. I'll bet anything.
Yeah, they're saying there'll be a lawsuit.
Yeah, he'll walk away. Nothing will happen to him. But I remember Citigroup. First it was Citibank, then it became Citigroup, and then they bought Travelers, and then Smith Barney, and that guy Sandy Weil. Oh, everybody loved him. This is when they dismantled the Glass-Steagall Act. Oh, and Robert Rubin later went to work for Sandy. I think he made like $110 million in consulting fees. So we need to put back the laws that were put in place before that prohibited the gangsters from robbing all our money and turning America into Slavelandia. Look, you were talking about buying local. When I was a kid, they had this funny thing. They were called stationery stores before there was Staples and Office Depot. They had another little quaint thing called pharmacies. That's right. The local people used to own their own pharmacies, and now they work for CVS.
And they had a big selection, and they'd even make you a hamburger.
That's right, yeah, and soda fountains.
And then you could get a job there when you were a kid.
Yeah, and I did. I was one of the last.
Why? You could have just gotten given a bunch of vaccines and died of embolism. That'd have been more fun.
Yeah, I was one of the last soda jerks. I was that was my favorite job. All the kids used to come in after school, you know, and it was fun. And that's why I met a nice, pretty girl too. But anyway, I digress.
I can imagine you were like, "Hey, baby."
Oh no, she was a sweetheart. Anyway, and then they had other little things, butcher shops and grocery stores.
And you learned who had the better meat, who had the cuts you liked?
Exactly. And dress shops and haberdashers. And now we have Walmarts and Targets. It's one takeover. And here's the thing. The young people have no point of reference. They think it was always like this.
And they always think Walmart's like a prison where they search you and stuff, too, when you come in and out. I mean, I guess at the old clothing stores, you didn't get searched.
You didn't get searched, and you weren't walking into a place that looked like a large self-storage unit. You know, every these places had style and class and grace to them.
I know, I look at old photos of family and stuff, grandparents, great-grandparents. They all look so sharp and awake and dressed so nice. And I was like, why do they look so good?
Again.
Well, they weren't eating GMO.
They weren't eating GMO, and they weren't working for the man in Slavelandia.
And I'll tell you this, and if a cop was rude and got in their face, there'd be trouble. People think laying down. Have you seen the video in New Jersey of the disarmed lady? She doesn't have a gun, and the guy comes in and beats her for like 5 minutes and right in front of her kid. Guys, can you cue that up to show Gerald? I'm going to your calls, I promise. Cue that up in a minute. I want to show. But my point is, this is Obama gun control. I mean, this is the great. We're only the government and the criminals have the guns, and we're sandwiched between authoritarian government and street thugs. There it is. And look, the little kid cowering in fear. This woman didn't even resist him. And he just beats her and beats her and beats her and throws her down the stair.
Oh, my God.
And but hey, I think that lady might need to go to jail for a hate crime. He might have hurt his fist.
Oh, my God.
Where is the white Jesse Jackson declaring this racial hate crime? Again, I'm not saying it's
my God.
Race thing. My point is that...
Well, listen, you know,
hey, why don't the feminists call for her to be armed?
Well, why don't you learn how to fight, too?
Yeah. Oh, let me tell you something. My mom, my wife, you try that, this is going to be butcher night.
Yeah.
What would happen when your mom...
No way would that... No way. No way would that ever happen. No way. And if we were one of the kids over there, we'd be banging this guy over there with a vase or anything we could pick up.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I was mean when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
What happened to people?
Again, it's the...
Like, I was meaner when I was sweet too, but I was mean when I was a kid. And when I was like 14, I'm probably meaner than I am now. What happened to kids? I don't understand this thing. It was like, I mean, I wanted not starting fights, but if you punch me, you wanted to get in a fight, you're going to get one. I don't understand this cowering thing.
Well,
what would your mom have done? My mother, I know what she'd do, because my dad's tried to tickle her before, and she hit him upside the head with a boot, just knocked him out. I mean, and she's not looking for trouble. Who are these women you can just beat up so easy?
Well, it's not only the women, it's the men, too.
You know how hard women kick?
There was another one out there, a guy. I saw one that they got a fight on the two guys in suits. They got in a fight somewhere, and it was like two little kids fighting. These weren't men fighting. There was another clip. I saw it on CNN. You could probably pick that one up, too. But so what happened is we're not taught to fight back. You're not taught to fight back.
Yeah, in the schools, you get in more trouble if you fight back than if you start a fight.
Listen, I got expelled a couple of times for getting in fights. I was the little kid. I was the smallest one there, so they used to pick on me.
Yeah.
And one time I bit off a piece of a kid's cheek.
Good.
Yeah.
He started it.
The other kid. And one
time I was at the bottom of a dog pile. They were stomping me, and the guy's leg was right there, and there was an arm. I just reached over, chomp. They got off me real quick.
Yeah.
That's what you got teeth for.
Yeah, the same. No, I got in fights more than one. But I was a little guy who had to learn how to defend myself. And as you may know, I have a second-degree black belt in close combat, so I never stopped. And I used to train women, by the way, that were victims of abuse and rape.
Yeah, what would you do if a guy tried something like that? You kick him right in the huevos, right?
Well, no, with me, I just go for the computer. You know, the
head.
Yeah, you go for the eyes and the nose. You push that nose, you just give him a palm heel to the nose and push that little bone through the brain.
Yeah.
With the fingers through the eyes, and there's this little shield behind there that once you penetrate that, they go on blotto. And the other one is, particularly when women, you know, if they were in a situation, a rape situation, is to just bite into that, you know, soften the guy up, tell him how much you love him, what a man he is, and seduce him in closer and just bite into that carotid artery and twist it as you bite it. And
well, just the classic thing I've seen is if
close your eyes.
Is a lot of times a woman will go back
through the.
And if a guy tries to climb on them, I mean, women just kick them like a mule.
Well, the thing is with kicking, I've seen a number of fights.
No, but I've just seen men try to climb on women and seen them kick them off.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying, if it comes to that kind of a situation, you know, there are a lot of things going on. You know,
that woman didn't even resist.
She didn't even resist.
I mean, I guarantee you, when I was a kid, and I don't care how big the guy was, if I was there, my mother would be like, I mean, it'd be bad.
You see, the thing with the fight, too, is that people don't understand is that it's not like you see in the movies. You know, it's not all this posturing and thing.
It doesn't go on and on and on.
No, the first guy in usually wins, and that's what I do. That's what I teach. You go right in. You feel trouble coming down, you go right in. You're all over it. And again, you know, it's the palm heel. As a matter of fact, I should have my teacher on, John Perkins from attackproof.com. Anybody could go to it, attackproof.com. And this guy, you know, I mean, these are real guys. You know, he was a cop and, you know, he's been there. And people don't understand is you got to go right in. And you go in and you do what you have to do, and the fight ends really quick.
Well, I agree instinctively. If you punch somebody with an uppercut in the nose, I've never sent one into the brain, but I've torn the nose off completely like twice. They're out of the fight.
Yeah. Well, a palm heel is nicer. It's just right to the nose. You don't hurt your wrists, and it does the job. But you're going to kill somebody, just so you know it. And with me, I avoid fights at this point because, and I've been in situations, and the guys will tell you up there, and I make it really clear that if this thing is going to get out of hand, somebody's going to really be hurt, and it's not going to be me.
No, I'm not looking for violence, but if somebody starts one with me, I'm just going to punch him in the throat as fast as I can. Yeah, I've also found that's useful.
Yeah, punch to the throat is good, but again, if you want to take the person out, if it's an end game and your life is threatened, the two things are the palm heel to the nose and eye strikes. You know, right through the eyes. There's a little shield. Once you go by that, boom, your brain goes out. It's over. So those are the two. And I'm a small guy. I only go for the computer.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately. I've been in fights a long time, and I'm glad. I've gone for computers before.
Yeah.
It didn't turn out nice. I tell you. Luckily, I got a thick skull, so it's been good luck for me. Now I fight in the info war, Gerald. But I just can't believe videos like this where this woman...
But again, they're teaching us not to fight. They're teaching if you have a problem, call the police. They're teaching you not to be strong. And that's what they've done to society at every level. And then, by the way, we could go back to the feminine thing again. A house being raised, again, with a male energy, it's different. You have a different way about you. And young people are losing the male energy. And they're making it seem as though it's a bad thing to have. You know, I hear it, you know.
That's my point. I'm tired of hearing I'm bad because I'm a man.
Exactly. And that male energy is a negative thing.
You know, like if you go to schools or like public schools, government things, they talk to the woman, not the man. And it's like, hey, men don't speak here. Even if it's a man, it's like women run things now. And they're running things pretty well, aren't they?
Oh.
But I mean, the guys need to step up and lead is what needs to happen.
Yeah, and both. You know, again, let's just call it equal.
Everybody's together, yeah.
Yes, call it equal.
But I mean, historically, it's going to be men like George Washington. He had women behind him supporting him, and big time. They couldn't have done it without the women supporting him and all the things they did. But it was men that,
Well, we could have a woman leading the Second American Revolution
if she was a patriot.
Exactly. If it was about making it for the greater good.
Oh, I agree.
Well, a woman leading the Second American Revolution.
I'd get behind a woman that was a leader.
Yep.
Yeah.
In a second.
If it wasn't about saying men are bad all day.
Yeah. Again, we're talking about the bigger issue, the American Revolution.
Exactly. And it's not a balkanization issue. I'm saying they're trying to get women to gang up on men when instead, I mean, women, you're going to have boys as well as girls. I want my boys and girls to be empowered. We're having quite the talk with Gerald Celente in person today. We got to go film here in a minute for Obama Deception 2, but we're live right now. Alcatraz, thanks for holding. You're on the air with Gerald Celente.
Yes. Alex, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, I just want to ask you a question. Have you heard about the cyber attack drill being hosted by the Department of Homeland Security called Quantum Dawn 2?
Yes, it rings a bell.
Yeah. Well, I just want to inform you this. You know how the DHS, they love to put their false flag attacks right next to the drill? Well, I don't know if this is true or not, all right? And I'm not going to say that it is going to happen, but I believe that this is going to be the next false flag attack. What's your take on this?
I don't know. They could use any drill as a smokescreen to do it. But, I mean, we know, like, they launched the Stuxnet attack and then said they need to take over the Internet because of the Stuxnet attack. And the media didn't point out that the CIA in Israel created it with Microsoft and sent it out there reportedly. Yeah. That's how dumb they think. We've got to take your rights because of Al-Qaeda, but then they run Al-Qaeda. Gerald?
Well, you know, on the false flag, I believe that we are going to have either a false flag or a real flag, something that is going to divert our attention away from the problems that are around us now. There's going to be a wag the dog moment. And it's also going to wag us away from the economic problems. They're not going to be able to get us out of this economic mess. As we all know, again, the stimulus did not work. Now they're talking about tapering it back. I mentioned to you that interest rates went up the fastest time in 26 years in a week. And so I think there might be a false flag. It might be a computer. It might be, quote, terrorism. It might be something going on with Syria.
And then they say, we got hit because of Snowden. Everybody's like, please spy on me. Like,
right.
Did you see
got it.
Miss USA going, or one of the contestants, I want to be spied on. Watch everything I do. Keep me safe in case I'm bad.
There you go. Keep me safe. And that's why that woman couldn't fight. And that's why the little kid was cowering. That should be natural instinct to protect yourself. You shouldn't be taught how to do it. It should be in our DNA. That is the opposite of everything.
Well, also, why does the guy just keep beating the daylights out of it?
Because he's what kind of drugs is this guy whacked out on? What's his brain in? What zone? I mean, of course this guy's out of his mind. And by the way, that's my biggest fear. And this is what we're going to be writing about this in the next Trends Journal. All of this youth unemployment, you're talking 60% around the world.
They're going to make them cops.
No. They're out of their minds already. They're on all kinds of drugs that, whether it's the psychotropic drugs, whether it's the opiates, whether
people are screwed up.
I know, big numbers. I go out a lot. I'm out in the street. Yeah. I go to different places. I bounce around. I see it, man. We have a drug problem, and no, it's not marijuana, cocaine. It's much worse than that. Marijuana. I mean, really. But it's
no. Most of them are on prescriptions now.
I know, and
they're saying like 2/3, and then they'll give them whatever they want.
I know, and I'm saying this is going to be one of the biggest problems confronting us. So when you're asking about that guy out of his mind, there are going to be a lot more like him. There are a lot of young people that they have degrees in worthlessness and are facing a hopeless future if they have any kind of education.
And then, like, why in Chicago and places do they want the public disarmed so criminals all move there and feed on them? Why in New Jersey do people not get, not everybody in New Jersey, but that, you know, they've taken the guns, that happened to that woman. Why do they want to live under Bloomberg, who has 15 bodyguards with guns but says you can't have one?
Again, people have lost their dignity, their courage, and their self-respect, and they're listening to other people on telling them how to run their lives. That's why. And that's all it comes back down to.
Bloomberg is a pig.
I can't stand him. I mean, he'd be nobody if he didn't have his money to make him.
And he lied.
Brilliant guy.
He said he wouldn't run for another term and changed the law.
Yeah, he bought the election. And now look how bad it is. Look at the people running against him, running for the new mayor. This guy Weiner is leading. The guy who put up his thing on Facebook.
He's thrusting his wiener.
Yeah, and he's in there. He's leading. That's how bad it is.
Well, they say he's thrusting in the polls.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God. Oh man, this is bad. One more segment. We're gonna plug your thing. Stay with us. Trendsjournal.com, ladies and gentlemen, is where you can go and see all the alerts and sign up for the email alerts and subscribe to the Journal and give it to your friends and family and support free and true, hardcore, independent media. I want to take a few final calls. I've really been hogging Gerald here, but I'm gonna go to Mike and a few others that have been patiently holding. Mike and Mike are the next two in line. But briefly, what's coming up in the new Trends Journal?
Oh, we're going to be doing a special report on economic future. Where is it going? What to expect and what to do. That's going to be the...
And in a nutshell, what is it in your view?
The nutshell is that to hold on for a while, and then we're going to go into a serious decline. And it's not only, again, in the United States. As I mentioned, what's going on in China.
And that's why they're gearing up with all the martial law gadgets?
I believe so, 100%. And again, it's not only in the U.S., and I was mentioning before, we didn't follow up on it, before one of the breaks. In China, what they're concerned about the most is not the United States.
They have like 7,000 riots a month or something.
Yeah, they have 1.2 billion people. And and even now, even with that boom that they had, their GDP, their level of income per person ranks among the lowest in the world. Only a few, maybe...
The communist insiders.
Yeah, the 400 million have a lot. But then you got 1 billion, or 900 million that don't have...
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's like 1.3, actually, million people. Yeah.
So what you have is they're very concerned about riots. And I guess what? They're concerned about it everywhere.
Well, you know what the riots are always over? It's not even over food and stuff. It's the bureaucrats beating people up and being above the law and the cops. It's what's triggering it.
And also with this...
Same thing in Brazil. They said, we're tired of being shoved around.
And the corruption.
Yeah.
The corruption. And it's the same story everywhere. So now figure it out. You got 3 million people taken to the streets. I don't care how many soldiers you have, or how many cops you have. You're not going to control 3 million people. Not going to control 3 million people without a lot of mass slaughter. And I don't believe it's going to happen in most countries. It's not going to go...
No. The corrupt elite are going to jump on jets and fly out.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what we're going to start seeing more and more of. Because there are too many... You know my saying, when people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. And that's what you're going to start seeing. So when we're looking at this economic forecast, I am still a holder of gold. If I did not buy all that real estate that I just bought last year, I would be buying gold now. But I've been buying gold since 19...
I don't even look at the price of it because I know that it's an artificial market. They're artificially suppressing it.
It's artificially suppressed. There's no question about it.
That's on record. Let's jam in one call because I promised here. Mike in Alabama, you're our tail gunner. I don't have time to get to the other Mike. Go ahead, Mike in Alabama.
Okay, hey, I'm about retirement age, and I got about $25,000 or $30,000, and I'm looking at 3 different options. I can only afford one of the 3. Would you put into a modest income property, a rental property, or would you put it in silver and gold, or would you put than in 20 acres out in the woods somewhere where you'll have a getaway place.
Well, I don't give financial advice, but if it was me, and that's the amount of money that you had, and you could put it into rental property and bring an income from it, it might be a wise move. Only and a little bit in gold, but I'll tell you why. I was talking before about mortgage rates and how they're increasing. You're going to start seeing this whole housing thing start to slow down big time. And people don't have enough money to buy homes. They're going to be renting.
Yeah, the elites are all flooding into renting.
Yeah.
So follow what the big maggots are doing.
And again, only if it's good property and at an affordable rate.
Exactly. And you know, that's all the money you're going to have. That's a good idea. If I had the 30 grand, and I was going to be able to have a part-time job or something after I retired, I would go with the property and guns. I mean, you probably already got guns. I mean, I'm just the middle of nowhere where nobody wants to be in case things really get bad. But like Gerald said, if you can do a good deal, then personally, yeah, the rental thing's a great idea. All right, folks, that's it for this 4-hour transmission. InfoWars Nightly News tonight, 7. We'll be back this Sunday live, 4 to 6 p.m. Central with a Sunday transmission. And we're going to tape with him for Obama deception, Gerald Celente.